Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Friday. You've made it to the end of the week, and your reward is 3 hours and change of sports talk today on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device, on the MSC Radio app, and on YouTube at 580 Sports Talk. However, wherever, whenever you are following the show today, consuming the show today, thank you so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis will be in a bit. We are with you until 6:30 tonight. We'll have a little bit of 580 Sports Talk overtime for you. Ahead of Royals baseball, Royals put the beats to the Cardinals last night. One of the more fun games of the 2026 season, adjusting for opponent. And they'll try to do it again tonight at the K on a Fireworks Friday, 6:30 pregame coverage, a 7:15 scheduled first pitch. I'm going to go ahead and double check this, but that start time suggests to me an Apple TV game tonight. I think I might be right about that. I am right about that. It is an Apple TV exclusive tonight. So, I don't know. If you've got it, watch it. If you don't got it, get a free trial. If you don't want to do that, we've got you. Pre-game coverage at 6:30, first pitch, 7:15, right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. In the between time, we'll talk a whole lot of sports today on the program. Royals won big last night, and Kauffman Stadium has a new home run king. That is Salvador Perez, who hit the home run that made him the all-time leader in home runs hit in games played at Kauffman Stadium. And with Kauffman Stadium's closing imminent in the next half decade or so, that's going to be a record probably that Salvador Perez holds forever. A cool moment in a game full of them last night. Also, one very uncool moment. Bobby Witt Jr. got hurt and had to leave the game and is not in the lineup tonight, though there has not been a roster move, which if it were something significant, the Royals would probably already know that were the case and would already have made a roster move. But sure seems like Bobby's been dealing with something in his knee now, at least for a couple of weeks, and would explain some things maybe about relative lack of power from Bobby Witt Jr. this season. Would not explain why he leads the American League in stolen bases if he's had a bum knee all year. But anyway, other than that, just a mild damper on what was a blowout Royals win, 14-6 last night over the Redbirds. We'll talk about that, but also something sobering about Salvador Perez. Interpret it as an exhortation to enjoy the dingers while they last, because Salvador Perez does appear to be losing the battle with Father Time, as do we all, right? But it's happening to Salvador Perez. Fangraphs went into detail about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. We'll also take a look at tonight's game. As you can imagine, with no Bobby Witt Jr. in the lineup, the Royals have a lineup tonight that is probably the worst lineup they've rolled out for a game all season long. They'll try and get after Mike McGreevy tonight. Seth Lugo's back from the concussion IL, which is great news. He'll start for the Royals. We'll get to some football today. Pick up where we left off on our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. We are 87 days away from kickoff at Arrowhead Stadium between the Chiefs and the Broncos, the final game of week 1 of 2026. And hey, what do you know? The Chiefs have a number 87. Don't know if you guys were familiar, but that's Travis Kelce's number. So we're going to talk about Killa Trav as he enters his 37-year-old season as an NFL player. Is there a lot of precedent for 37-year-olds tight ends being good? Well, no, but most of those tight ends aren't Travis Kelce. So what would a good year from Travis Kelce look like? And how different is the offense with Travis Kelce now as not the field shifter and the piece on the chessboard that you always have to account for And much more now, Kelce's role being just that of a good, productive receiving tight end. No longer an anomaly and much more of just a really good player at the position. How does that fundamentally change the Chiefs offense? And how does the Chiefs offense need to fundamentally change around that changing reality for Kelce as he enters his age 37 season? We'll talk some college football, too, because we've got some early over-unders for Big 12 win totals that have hit the boards in Las Vegas. And maybe the board on your cell phone, too, if you're so inclined. BetMGM put out their win totals for 2026 for the Big 12, and we'll go through some of those. Also, developments from the last couple of days that we're going to touch on at some point today. The Protect College Sports Act is going to the Senate floor. It passed through the committee, and with the support of the major professional sports leagues and players unions and 2 of the 4 major conferences in college sports, I bet you can guess which 2 like it, which 2 don't, even if you've paid no attention whatsoever to the broader story or the conversation over the bill itself. There's never been more of an appetite for congressional intervention to help the NCAA enforce its rules. But does the bill itself kind of not make sense? Like, I hate to say, are the Big Ten and the SEC right? I hate to side with the Big Ten and the SEC really on much of anything, but I don't really like the Protect College Sports Act bill for one big reason. It goes back to something I've been hammering on for a very long time. That there's a much easier solution than hoping you can get the United States Senate to agree to give the NCAA an antitrust exemption. So we'll get into that. Also, we'll probably get to it in headlines. Major League Baseball made an embarrassingly bad labor proposal yesterday in its negotiations with the union. And it all comes back to this. The owners want, A, less baseball, and B, to spend less money. And I don't know how that's a side you could possibly take in this particular impending labor dispute. We'll have our 580 Sports Talk headlines, a World Cup roundup, our typical shenanigans on the program. We'll do Change My Mind. We'll do On Second Thought. We'll crown a champion on what is wrong with you this week as well. We want to hear from you on the program today. The text line is open, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the live chat today on our YouTube stream. We are live on YouTube today. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. I want to say hello to our chatters so far today. We've got Vance, Mark H., and Britt in the chat so far. Great to see you. And look forward to hearing from some more of you folks as we go along throughout the day. Hop in that live chat, 580 Sports Talk. So the Royals won last night, and decisively so. Well, a fun night at the ballpark at Kauffman Stadium in a season where those have been few and far between. 14-6 was the final score. Royals fell behind early, but not for long. Scored a 6-piece in the second, had 5 doubles in the inning, and that was not counting the fly ball that Royal great Nelson Velasquez made a hash of out in left field that allowed another run to score. Royals led 7-0 after 2. They led 11-3 after 4. They added single tallies in the 6th, 7th, and 8th. Every starter except for Michael Massey had at least 1 hit. 7 of the 9 starters had 2 or more hits. Starling Marte and Salvador Perez had 3 hits. And Bobby Witt Jr., Jack Caglione, and Salvador Perez all hit home runs as the race to lead the team in dingers this year heats up. Witt Jr. and Perez now 10 apiece. Caglione tied with Carter Jensen with 9 home runs this year. I mean, that's everything you could want at the old ball game, right? If you're going to Kauffman Stadium to see the Royals, what do you hope you see, right? I see Bobby Witt Jr. hit a home run. Ding. I want to see Jack hit one out. He did. Opposite field. I want to see Salvador Perez go yard. And he has done that at Kauffman Stadium more than any other player, even the great George Brett, after his 6th inning home run last night. It's been a remarkable career for Salvi, even though this is not a remarkable season. He's at now 313 career home runs. And, of course, a record number of those, 137 of them, coming at Kauffman Stadium. That's more than any other player has hit at the K. But this has not been a very good year for Perez, and you don't need me to tell you that if you've paid any modicum of attention. The big night he had last night served to raise his OPS to 592. And to give you an idea, he has only finished a big league season with an OPS below 700 once in his career. It was 2014 when he, of course, had one of the biggest hits in franchise history to help the Royals get past the wild card round, reach eventually the World Series. But that was his worst offensive year as a pro, a 692 OPS that year. He's carrying a 592 OPS through his first 70 games this year. And that despite 10 home runs, which is, again, tied for a team high, and 17 extra base hits as a whole. Michael Bellman at Fangraphs has an article about this today, pointing out that Salvador Perez's career kind of divides fairly neatly from the player he was early in his career, where he didn't hit for a ton of power, but he made a lot of contact. Made a lot of contact with the baseball. And Salvador Perez, whether he was making a lot of contact or not going to draw a lot of walks. Never been a big walk guy. His career high in walks is 44 in a season. He did that 2 years ago. But there's a dividing line in Perez's career where it seemed that he just decided, I'm going to see how far I can hit the ball. I'm going to swing real hard, and I'm going to try to hit it real far. Because I can't contact, I better make it count. You can almost see the calculation. You can also kind of guess when that transformation most obviously began. You go back to 2021 when he led the American League in home runs and runs batted in. And since then, Perez has continued to strike out quite a lot, which he didn't really do early in his career. Before the COVID season of 2020, he had only had 2 seasons where he had struck out more than 100 times. He'd come close in 2017, but he wasn't a huge strikeout guy. And then the year he hit 48 home runs, he struck out 170 times. So, right, he's selling out for his power. And he still had that power because he's a big dude, strong dude, decent bat speed. He had 23 home runs in 22, an injury in 2023, 27 2 years ago, 30 last year, drove in 100 runs in each of the last 2 seasons, provided positive offensive impact despite making a whole lot of outs, generally speaking. Salvador Perez's career on-base percentage is below 300. That's a lot of outs. So if you're making that many outs, you got to do something to be a positive offensive contributor. And that's something for Salvador Perez the last handful of years has been hit the ball over the fence. He's not doing that anymore, at least not like he used to. The slugging percentage tells the story, 342, 10 home runs in his first 70 games. And this is what Fangraphs wrote today in their article over at fangraphs.com to give you an idea of the tenor of the article, which is very complimentary by and large to Salvador Perez. But the article's title is Salvador Perez's carrying tool is gone, which is to say the thing he does best, he doesn't really do anymore. Michael Bowman writes, quote, Perez's power is gone. It just up and disappeared over the winter. And for a player who already couldn't run, wasn't much used defensively, and never walks, that was the last Jenga piece. The power was the only tangible skill Perez had left. And it's definitively gone. Last year, Perez's barrel rate was in the 91st percentile, and his hard hit rate was in the 70th percentile. Those numbers are in the 45th and 44th percentiles now. From last year to this, Perez has lost 1.4 miles per hour of average bat speed, and his fast swing rate has been cut nearly in half to about 17%. Another hitter could live with those numbers. Perez's bat speed figures are in the same neighborhood as Detroit Tigers star rookie Kevin McGonigal and very wealthy Dodgers outfielder Kyle Tucker. But if power is your carrying tool, that little power won't carry you very far. Maybe Perez is dealing with an injury from which he'll recover, but for a 36-year-old who's spent nearly 12,000 innings behind the plate, Occam's razor points in a different direction. This is where it would be unfair not to note, at least, that Perez was dealing with an injury earlier this season, dealing with some hip issues, and he dealt with something similar last season, a little bit early on in the year, and then June and July rolled around, and that's when Perez really heated up. And those were the months that enabled him to finish in the fashion that he did, with 30 home runs and 100 runs driven in. But the fact of the matter is that Perez, down the stretch last year, was non-productive. He had a 621 OPS in August. He had a 743 OPS in September. And he hit 12 home runs in those 2 months. So it wasn't like it was a total zero, but it was not the heights that he had hit during the summer months. And then so far this year, the numbers monthly tell the story that hoped for summer power surge, well, if it's coming, it hasn't happened yet. Maybe it has to officially be summer. I don't know. But after a 586 OPS in April and March, or March and April, I'm reading right off the Baseball Reference page, and they put April, March, and that doesn't read right to me. I apologize. But a 649 OPS in May represented something of a bounce back, but this month has been a grim one for Salvi. Just 12 of 57. That home run last night, his first one of the month, and an OPS in June of 501. We're near the end for Salvador Perez, and that's not a fun thing to consider, because Salvador Perez for so long has been such an integral part of the Royals. Obviously an integral part of the winning that they did when it was early in his career and they were winning, and they won back-to-back American League championships and won the 2015 World Series. And in the leaner years that followed, in 2018 through 2023, Salvador Perez was a consistent reason to turn on a Royals game, to continue to love the team, because you just love Salvador Perez. He was awesome in the COVID year, hit 333. He led the league in home runs and runs batted in the year after that. And then when it looked like the Royals were coming back to winning ways, back-to-back winning seasons, including a playoff berth in 2024 and 2025, Salvador Perez showed there was still life left in those old legs, hitting a combined 57 home runs over the last 2 years. But the data points in a direction that is straight down. And if Salvador Perez is no longer capable of producing power at a high level, at an above average level, then he is not capable of producing at all. He's not helping the team. He's a reason why this Royals team is in fourth place. Percentage point, fourth place, out of the cellar as of today. That's something to smile about. But he's a part of the reason why they're there, because according to Fangraphs WAR, he's one of the worst everyday players in baseball. Baseball References WAR is a little kinder. The two sides really disagree about the value of catcher defense. That's a whole Pandora's box I'd rather not open up right now. Just know this. By any measure, he's been a negative for the Royals this year. And it hurts to say that about a guy as beloved and as important over the years as Salvador Perez. So the answer to what you do about that is, well, what the Royals have started to do. Gracefully move Perez down in the lineup. He's hitting cleanup tonight because of injuries, but he's been down at the 6th spot in the lineup of late, and that's a little bit more reasonable of a place of a player for his stature to be. More innings at DH. Certainly the Royals can afford to do this much easier with Vinny Pasquantino on the IL. They can DH him more readily and allow Carter Jensen to have more of the reps behind the plate. Jensen, by the way, an above average offensive contributor on the season. He had another nice night last night. And giving him more of the opportunity to show that he is the catcher of the future. And it's reps that Jensen will benefit from because you recall, and if you've been watching the games, you know Jensen's had some rough games behind the plate, but those rough moments have been fewer and further between the more comfortable he's gotten catching these guys at the big league level. Come 2027, Carter Jensen is going to be the everyday catcher for the Kansas City Royals. And Salvador Perez is going to be, I don't know. The Royals have only but so many at-bats to go around for backup catcher, for DH, for first base. Is Vinny Pasquantino going to be part of that mix next year? He's under team control. I don't see why he wouldn't be necessarily. Certainly, Jack Caglione feels more comfortable at first base, but he's taken to right field pretty nicely. Maybe there's a solution. Maybe you play Perez a bunch against lefties. If he wants to be around, you try to find a way to make it happen. But when you're doing things like hitting milestones, breaking George Brett's team records, breaking ballpark records, those two are symbols that time is running out. And again, it's not a fun thing to contemplate, but at least the Royals appear to understand it. And they have appeared to understand it the last week and change, sliding Perez's name down in that batting order, out of that cleanup spot that's been just assumed to be his, written in pen before every game that he plays. He'll be valuable to the Royals as a leader for as long as he's on the roster. But last night served as a reminder, even on a big night with an OPS still below 600, that Perez's days as a Royal are running short. And we got to enjoy those Salvi smashes and Salvi splashes while we've still got them. Because we'll save the Hall of Fame debate for another day. But that's an all-time Royal. That's a Royal whose number you retire. That's the first new statue you build at the new downtown ballpark. Enjoy him. There is not much to enjoy about this season. This is a non-contention year. We all know that. So if you need other reasons to be energized, to be excited, to turn on the TV when Salvador Perez or the Royals are, while the Royals are playing, Salvador Perez can be your reason. Because every now and then, he'll get into one and he'll turn back the clock like he did last night. We'll take a timeout. Your reaction, 785-272-9429 on the text line. Also in the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, the name of the channel. We got Matt Derrick, ChiefsDigest.com, coming up in about 10 minutes. So I forgot to mention we had Matt on today. He obviously joined us a little bit yesterday, but we're going to come on and talk Chiefs with our Chiefs Insider like we do every Friday. Matt Derrick will join us in about 10 minutes or so. We got some Chiefs to talk about. We got some college sports to talk about. We got What Is Wrong With You headlines, World Cup roundup. We're having a lot of fun on this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk.
Secure Our World resources. They've got 4 simple ways we can stay safe online. First, learn to recognize and report phishing. Next, create a strong, unique password for each online account, and use a password manager if you can. Then turn on multi-factor authentication for extra security, and you'll receive a code when logging in. And finally, turn on automatic software updates for convenience and safety. Click here to track my delivery. Another phishing message. But now I know how to protect myself from scammers, and you can learn too. Go to CISA at cisa.gov/secure our world for more quick, easy tips to be safer online.
WIBW Topeka.
.332 on 580 Sports Talk. Not fun to talk about Salvador Perez losing the battle with Father Time. Vance in the YouTube comments says, I will hate to see Salvador Perez retire. Another text from the 785 on our text line. Catchers age hard, man. Yeah, they do. Especially catchers who catch as often as Salvador Perez has caught for as long as he's been catching. He has been a regular catcher in the major leagues, with the exception of the year where he didn't play, 2019, since he was 22 years old. He has caught in his major league career for at least a portion of 1,417 big league games and nearly 12,000 big league innings. That's a lot. I mean, you're in pretty rarefied territory when you start talking about that many innings caught. I'm trying to see if there's a leaderboard for that. There's defensive games. I'm trying to see if there's innings played as a catcher as a leaderboard here on Baseball Reference, and I don't see one. But yeah, getting close to 1,500 games behind the plate. Perez is 42nd all time in Major League history in games caught. And he's probably going to get into the top 40 this year, barring an injury. And there are not a lot of modern day guys who caught more innings. Just as far as contemporaries go, guys who played in the last in this century, just limited to the 2000s, guys who've caught that many or more games than Salvador Perez. Kurt Suzuki, that surprised me. Jason Varitek, Jorge Posada, Russell Martin, Brian McCann, and we get up to Yadier Molina. Yeah, he's up there. Obviously, Pudge Rodriguez, the most in history. But yeah, of the 41 guys above him, not many are contemporaries. So it wears you down. Another one from the 785. I say this as someone who is not a Royals fan. Screw the hard numbers. Salvador Perez belongs in the Hall of Fame. I actually think some of the hard numbers actually kind of do him favors. The thing that really, the support, I said I wasn't going to do this. The support for Salvador Perez's Hall of Fame case is actually like not a statistical case. It's a look at all that shiny stuff in the trophy case for Salvador Perez. The Silver Sluggers, the Gold Gloves, the World Series MVP, the Clemente Man of the Year award, that stuff. The fact that he did it all for one team, the fact that he's a catcher with over 300 home runs and all those games caught, which is rare. Like, it's not a statistical case. The statistical case says, well, he made a lot of outs and he actually wasn't that good defensively for a lot of years. Like, great arm. Nobody's going to tell you Salvi didn't have a great arm, but that's where the debate about framing and how much value you attribute to a catcher's ability to frame pitches. And I want to tell you right here and right now, we do not have the time for me to get into that because I want to fight. I'm spoiling for a fight when people want to talk to me about the value of framing numbers. You want to tell me Salvi wasn't good at it? Like, I will buy that. But what I don't know is, Like you tell me, oh, Yadier Molina was the best pitch framer in baseball for all those years, and Salvador Perez stunk at framing. Well, the pitchers that Yadier Molina was catching for were a lot better, right? Like you can't frame. How are you going to frame Jordan Lyles, right? How are you going to frame pitches when Josh Stumont is spiking sliders? How are you going to frame Glenn Sparkman's pitches? Yadier Molina is catching Adam Wainwright in an easy chair for 10 years. No kidding, he was a better framer. Part of the argument. Like I said, I wasn't going to do this. I think he's a Hall of Famer. I do. I would put him in. He would go in my Hall of Fame. But that's a debate I welcome having 5 years after his retirement, because I'll beat the drum for Hall of Famer Salvador Perez. Coming up next on 580 Sports Talk, we're going to shift gears, talk some Chiefs with our Chiefs insider Matt Derrick here on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline by our friend Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk. He covers the Chiefs at ChiefsDigest.com and joins us every Friday at this time. Matt, feels like only yesterday we had you on there with. Well, listen, I'm not opposed to that idea. Now we've got to run that through, the rest of our schedule. But I'll say this though: if there's a time of year where we're going to be scraping the bowl to do a daily radio hit, it's mid-June. Like, what do you got a countdown calendar yourself until training camp?
All these great ideas about things that I want to do this season and new projects and all of these things. And then, it's all of a sudden it's like July 17th. And I'm like, oh gosh, I need to get started on all those things.
Well, you get a bit of more leeway this year because it's a later start to training camp, right? Training camp gets rolling at the end of July this year because of a later start to the season.
Yeah, I think the rookies and quarterbacks don't report until I think it's July 24th this year, which, we've had some like July 15th kind of report dates with this team the last few years. So the late start to the season, since, the first Sunday is at September 13th, since Labor Day is the latest it can possibly be, throws everything off. And the Chiefs, open it on a regular day and not a Thursday or anything squirrely like that. It's a little bit different this year.
Matt Derrick is our guest, our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt covers the team. He's a beat writer at ChiefsDigest.com. I'm so glad you mentioned it's 87 days to Chiefs kickoff, because we're going to talk a little bit about Travis Kelce here a little bit later on the program. So I want to get you to weigh in first on the Chiefs tight end entering his age 37 season. We thought last year, surely we'll see a little bit less of Travis Kelce in the offense as he comes back, because we weren't entirely sure he was even going to come back for last year. Surely it will be a more limited role for the venerable tight end, the future Hall of Famer. And then it kind of really wasn't. I mean, it was a reduced target load by his standards, but he still led the Chiefs in targets last year. So entering this season, should we expect the status quo that Travis Kelce is tight end number one and gets around 100 targets in this Chiefs offense? Or do you feel like there will be something of a change, that maybe there can be something of a change this year, given what we hope will be a healthier and more available wide receiver core and a better running game?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a complex answer to the question, which is just, I think it's going to depend a lot on just what happens around him. If you look at just the tight end position, my one concern that I have is that, Travis is always going to feel he's the best option to be on the field and doesn't want to take himself off. It's going to be up to the Chiefs to decide when they are going to try and pull him off the field or not. And right now, I just have some real concerns about what their depth is going to be at tight end, about whether they're going to feel like that they've got the comfort to take him off the field. I mean, they may just have to every once in a while, because let's face it, I mean, the man's going to be 37 years old in October. You got to load manage him in some way, but he is, going to be arguably in most games, he's going to be at least your second best receiver. Hopefully maybe Xavier Worthy, improves, and you can feel like, hey, Rice and Worthy are valid targets as well. And he can have a smaller portion of the offense and not have to do as much work. But that's what you thought last year. And he ended up having to do the lion's share of it. And he felt like he had to be out there because Patrick didn't have anybody else to work with. If the rest of the piece of this offense can pick up the slack, I mean, Travis may have a smaller workload, but I actually think he could be more productive with a smaller workload, and maybe doesn't have a huge fall off in numbers. I mean, he's still an 800-yard receiver. I think he can still maintain that, but it's possible that he has lower numbers, but the Chiefs offense is better if the other guys around him can pick up the slack.
Is that where maybe the Chiefs can benefit from Eric Bieniemy's voice, in the sense that maybe Travis Kelce wasn't going to listen to Matt Nagy when Matt Nagy told him, hey, you need to be on the field less. But if Eric Bieniemy, the sheriff, is in Travis Kelce's ear telling him, hey, let's back you off just a little bit, maybe more inclined to listen to EB?
Well, we can look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. The numbers will tell you that Travis Kelce had his best seasons when Eric Bieniemy was offensive coordinator and when he was around. And I mean, is that an accident? Is it just a coincidence that, he was there for really the peak of Travis's career? Or is there legitimacy to the fact that, the last couple of years when Travis has had some mistakes and he's had some lack of focus and some letdowns, that, there's nobody there to get in his face and to poke the bear a little bit. You kind of feel like, and we don't know what happens on the sideline, but you get kind of the sense that, hey, when Travis had drops, probably generally the motivation was just, hey, Travis, you'll get the next one. Eric Bieniemy's not going to say, hey, no problem, Travis, just get the next one. He's going to light a fire under him. So maybe that's what needs to happen. I don't know. But I mean, historically, Eric Bieniemy has gotten the best out of Travis Kelce.
Whether Noah Gray took a huge step back in production last year, went from a guy who appeared to be ascending to somebody who we talked a little bit about a possible cut candidate this offseason. That's obviously not going to happen. He's back. He's tight end 2 again. How important is his bounce back to the thought of maybe having a fresher Travis Kelce, having to lean on him a little less at tight end?
Yeah, I think it's really important for a couple of reasons. I mean, one, you nailed it. I mean, Noah Gray had a bad year last year, and he shouldn't have. The opportunities were there for sure, and he just didn't step up. And he's still a young guy. I mean, he's only just turned 26, I think, he's just going to be 27 season. I mean, he's still a young guy. This isn't somebody you would look at and think, okay, well, he's past his prime and his best years are behind him. He should still be at his peak. And last year was a real mystery. I mean, we never really got any explanation, like there was an injury of any sort like that, or it was just the general malaise of the offense brought him down. My concern has been that I haven't seen a real bounce back so far in the offseason workouts. It looks a little bit like the same Noah Gray we saw last year, just having a little bit of problems with drops and just connections. And how much of that's the quarterback play? Because outside of 7-on-7, there hasn't been Mahomes out there, so maybe that's a little bit of a piece of it. But at the same time, other receivers haven't had those kind of problems. So I've got some concerns there. And then you got the concern about, hey, if not Noah Gray, then who? Because no one else at tight end really stepped up during the offseason workouts either. And Jared Wiley is kind of a redshirt freshman by and large. I think he's played out 122 snaps in 2 seasons. He's still fairly inexperienced. Jake Breeningstool is inexperienced. They just have a pretty big drop off after Noah Gray right now too.
We're joined by Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. And Matt, obviously, we've got a little over a month till training camp, kind of a dead period. One of your colleagues on the beat, Pete Sweeney with the Star, he posted his way too early 53-man roster projection. One of the specific rooms that I've been curious about how they're gonna roster it out for the 53 is that the back end of that wide receiver room. How do you see that back end shaping out from a way before training camp, after mandatory mini camp view when it comes to, obviously we're going to see Riceworthy, Thornton, and Royals on the team, but the last couple spots, how do you see them shaking out?
Yeah, I mean, I think even the top 5 seems pretty easy to shake out because you throw Cyrus Allen in there, and barring any injuries, yeah, I think that's your top 5 right there. And I don't think this should be a season where the Chiefs are keeping 7 wide receivers. 6 is probably the right number. And then you'd probably have a question about Brashard Smith. And if he makes the team, is he half a receiver, half a running back? Where's he going to be? Because I can certainly see the Chiefs, they're going to probably be in a situation where if he makes the team as a 4th running back, can you still keep 6 receivers? Probably. If he's your 7th receiver, if he's your 6th receiver, is it going to be 3 and 6? I mean, you may not need that roster spot elsewhere. But you also have to figure out the return game. And, from what we saw during offseason workouts and the mini camp, I think Nico Remigio is still in that mix and nobody's dislodged him yet. That's what training camp's for. So yeah, I put this in the kind of too early category, but I would probably have Nico Remigio penciled in there right now. And it's just going to be, is there anything that's going to change that will affect, the need to have Nico around? I mean, he is your reliability guy. He's not your explosive guy. But if they feel like they can maybe pair Brashard Smith and Emmett Johnson back there, they really like, a guy like E.J. Smith as a potential return guy. But now you're talking about another, running back to try and squeeze onto their roster. And, can you keep an E.J. Smith and a Brashard Smith? Probably not. So those are all going to end up back in the wide receiver room. But I get the sense that they really like their depth because, after that, you're talking about not having a Jason Brownlee or a Jimmy Holiday or some of these guys on the roster. And, a couple of years ago, even last year, these guys were making the roster or were on the bubble. So they're still there for depth. And I think, hey, if one of those guys ends up being your 6th guy, that's fine. I think that's going to be an okay room. But, again, injuries are going to be a big, big part of it.
Finishing up with Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Matt, I wanted to ask about the edge group, now that we know Cameron Jordan won't be joining it, we had thought during the offseason there was a possibility that the veteran New Orleans Saint would chase a ring in KC, but that's not the case. He is signed back with the Saints to conclude his lengthy NFL career. The Chiefs still seem to have a need at the edge spot. If it's not going to be Cameron Jordan, is that a need the Chiefs are still going to fill off the street with a free agent, or do you think they are really in a holding pattern with roster moves, maybe even until the start of training camp?
Yeah, I think they're in a holding pattern on roster moves. I mean, they made the one move to add an extra tight end, and that I think is indicative of Chiefs seeing the same thing I saw during offseason workouts. They need to add some depth and options there, and you Mason Klein, the guy they brought in, is probably a really good candidate to be a blocking tight end too. But you look at that edge room, and this is where I think you're going to have a fairly similar conversation across all the different position groups. We talked about needing a receiver. Now we're talking about maybe needing an edge. They brought back L'Jarius Sneed, which is kind of the maybe exception to the rule of the offseason. But, this team has kind of decided, and Brett Veach has decided, he would rather give the young guys a chance to play. And, do they need an extra defensive edge? Probably. I mean, right now, I'd say a guy like Ethan Downs, might be your number 4 or 5 edge. He's probably the last guy on that bench right now, maybe competing with like a Felix Anudike-Uzomah, that kind of ballpark. So if you're the Chiefs, would you rather invest in that youth and try to develop some guys that can be backups for you in the future? Or are you just bringing in a 33-year-old veteran to just lengthen the bench that may not give you anything? But the one thing that they're going to do is just they're just going to throttle development of some young guy. And remember, I don't think that they want some 33-year-old veteran coming in and taking any snaps away from, R. Mason Thomas or Ashton Gelati. And, same thing at tackle. I think they'd rather let Peter Woods and Omar Norman-Lott play than give those snaps to, guys they let walk like Derek Noddy. So I think that's going to be the answer to a lot of places. The Chiefs are going to look to go young. And if it means going with some undrafted guys that they can develop and hopefully become role players in the future, I think that's what they're going to roll the dice with.
Matt Derrick covers the Kansas City Chiefs as the beat writer for ChiefsDigest.com, and he appears with us every Friday on 580 Sports Talk at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Matt, it is always a pleasure. Enjoy your weekend. We'll do this again next week.
Sounds great, Dan. Take care, everybody.
That is Matt Derrick. We'll step aside for a timeout, come back with On Second Thought to wrap up this 3 o'clock hour on Friday on 580 Sports Talk.
Celebrate America's once-in-a-lifetime 250th birthday with Jake's Fireworks. Our superstores are packed with the best selection of world-class fireworks, including exclusive patriotic 250th anniversary fireworks you won't find anywhere else. Plus, save big with hot deals and bundle deals store-wide. Join VIP rewards for even more coupons and savings. America's birthday party starts now. Visit jakesfireworks.com and find a store near you. Jake's Fireworks.
This is Spencer Dupuis for 580 WIBW, and sports and local info is always within reach with the MSC Radio app, as we recently joined MSC Radio out of Hiawatha. Stay connected to 580 WIBW by texting the station at 785-272-9429. Check out local events, discover our sister stations, and follow along on social media, all from the palm of your hands. Download the MSC Radio app on the App Store or Google Play, and keep your community connection strong wherever you go. 580 WIBW and MSC Radio Network station.
Thought-provoking. Government, I think, is starting to realize that people are really focusing on what they're doing, and that's a good thing.
And worth staying up for.
We've had plenty of science confirming ET presence for a long time.
Coast to Coast AM.
I got a spooky story for you. This lost runaway explosion place.
Encounters with creatures. There were 3. I'm into ghost hunting. Security guards light.
The show that makes you say, what? Overnights on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. IBW, Topeka.
You know what? Second thought, let's not good. You know what? Second thought.
Oh, come on, make up your mind.
So on second thought, we're winning the World Cup. Team USA put the finishing touches on another victory in Seattle this afternoon at the World Cup, leading Australia 2-0. They're into stoppage time, and the United States should see it out from there. A couple of first half goals for the USMNT. It will confirm their place in the knockout rounds. And if Paraguay doesn't get a result tonight in their match against oh gosh, who they play? I've already forgotten. But if Paraguay doesn't get a result, the United States is going through to the next round. So Turkey, that's who they play. So yeah, I guess we're winning the World Cup. Maybe we're awesome with 6 goals in 2 games. Maybe we're sick at soccer now. Who knew?
On second thought, I fed into the conspiracy that the NBA Finals was going 7 games. Clearly, it didn't. On second thought,
no, clearly it did not. It was great 5-game series.
Yeah,
you can't really good. You can't ask for a better, more dramatic 5-game series. But no, Adam Silver did not intervene. Scott Foster, the extender, could only work his dark arts as an official for 1 game, as it turned out. Yep, that series wrapping up in 5 games. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, it is 87 days to Chiefs kickoff. So we're going to talk about number 87 for the Chiefs, Travis Kelce. Take a look at what other 37-year-old tight ends have done in NFL history, and what would Kelce have to do to vault over that bar. We'll also crown a weekly champion on what is wrong with you, and take a closer look at the Protect College Sports Act. Isn't there a better way to do this that doesn't involve Congress? There is. I'll tell you what it is. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk.
More than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks? Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel you attract people who tend to be compulsive or abusive?
Do you have money problems because of someone else's drinking? Are you afraid or embarrassed to bring your friends home?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
More than half of all adults have a family history of alcoholism.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
Reality can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Kansas Heritage, now backed by local commitment, the voice of Kansas, WIBW, Topeka, an MSC Radio Group station.
NBC News Radio, I'm Chris Baranchia. President Trump doesn't think there'll be a need to start bombing Iran again. Before departing to Camp David for the weekend, he told the crowd at Joint Base Andrews today that the 60-day window for further negotiations is underway now that the Memorandum of Understanding has been signed.
Now we have an agreement that was signed last night, and it's 60 days. They have to make a deal. Otherwise, we will do things that won't make them happy, but I don't think it's going to get to that.
Trump said the oil is already flowing out of the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran closed after the war began. He also thanked China's President Xi for not getting involved in the conflict as they are an ally. A Republican congressman is not happy about Vice President Vance's warning to Israel during a recent interview with Real America's Voice. Florida lawmaker Rand Fine said Vance's comments were absolutely inappropriate and frankly disgusting. Vance's comments follow Vance's critique of Israel's leadership for speaking out against the Memorandum of Understanding signed by the U.S. Senate. Amazon Prime Day is almost here. It runs from June 23rd through the 26th and has evolved into one of the biggest shopping events of the year. Competition is fierce, especially for the lightning deals or flash sales that are only available for a few hours. U.S. men's national team is facing off against Australia right now in the World Cup. It's the second match for the U.S. They won last year. The U.S. is playing in Group D in Seattle. Sunday will be the longest day of the year, marking the official start of summer, like the Cashman reports.
Astronomers say the summer solstice will occur at 4:25 a.m. Eastern Sunday morning when the Earth's axis makes its northernmost tilt towards the sun. That gives the sun a longer path to move across the northern sky. On Sunday, the sun will rise earlier, 5:32 a.m. Eastern, and won't set until 8:32 p.m.
I'm Chris Perez, NBC News Radio.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough. But if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
This Kansas Information Network update is brought to you by Eaton Roofing and Exteriors.
Hi, I'm Felicia Rolfe here. Today's headline from 12 News. The Kansas Department of Health and Environment issues new warnings and watches for blue-green algae at a dozen Kansas lakes. Officials say the harmful algae bloom may look like foam, scum, or paint for warming water. Avoid contact if possible, and you can find a full list of the affected lakes online at KWCH.com. Government buildings will be closed today for Juneteenth, and there will be no Wichita Transit or paratransit services. Post offices and banks will also be closed, but many businesses are still open today. Governor Kelce denies a request for clemency from convicted serial killer John Robinson. Robinson, who's now 82, killed 7 women and a teenager in Kansas and Missouri, in cases that date back to the 1980s. And Wichita, Felicia Rolfe, 12 News.
You're listening to the Kansas Information Network.
While serving in Afghanistan, I was shot in the head by sniper fire. The fighting was so intense, the medevac chopper was barely able to land. I was given a 5% chance to live. I'm Adam Alexander, and I'm a veteran. Today, I visit classrooms and talk with kids about dealing with life's struggles. I tell them, with a little help and a lot of work, that you can overcome any challenge.
DAV helps veterans like Adam get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year in life-changing ways.
I know that some struggles are big and some are small, but they're all struggles, and you have to learn to get through them. With support from DAV, more veterans like me can live their best life. And as a new father, I have one more reason to keep on keeping on. My victory is being there for the next generation.
Adam Alexander, may your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
There's danger out there. It lurks on highways and quiet neighborhood streets. It's more likely to kill you than a shark, and more terrifying than the biggest snake. Distracted driving claims lives every day. Every notification, swipe, social post, video, or selfie while driving risks your life. So while you might think public speaking or the zombie apocalypse is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Here's your updated WIBW forecast from the Certified Transmission Weather Center.
The flood watch begins at 7 p.m. tomorrow night. It continues until 1 p.m. Sunday afternoon. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 86. Southeastern wind 5 to 10 miles an hour. Cloudy skies expected. Tonight, chance of thunderstorms. Low dip down to about 65. I'm staff meteorologist Ray Norton. Currently 82.
The voice of Kansas. Online at 580WIBW.com.
Let's get it. Now, number 2, 580 Sports Talk on a Friday. Glad you're with us here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device, on the MSC Radio app, and on our YouTube stream, live in living color on 580 Sports Talk, our YouTube channel. Thanks for being with us. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis. We're with you until 6 o'clock, plus a little overtime. We'll have an overtime conversation of the day today ahead of Royals baseball game 2 of 3 in the series between the Royals and the Cardinals. Again, it's an odd one because no game Saturday to make space for the World Cup. We will find out which nation is the greatest in the world, Ecuador or Curacao. That's the game at Kansas City Stadium. That is coming up on Saturday night. Then the Royals and the Cardinals will reclaim the space over at the K for a Sunday finale. Game tonight, first pitch 7:15. They moved it back 10 minutes for Apple TV. It's a nationwide stream-only broadcast tonight. So 6:30 pregame right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9.
You know what the best part of the Apple TV broadcast is?
Ryan Spielborg's.
No, you can change the audio to the team's radio.
That is true. They do allow you to do that.
That's the best part of it,
that
honestly.
Is
I'm not
cool.
a big fan of the crew.
When I get Spilly on there, Ryan Spielborg's former Rockies outfielder. He's on the Rockies TV broadcast. I kind of like him when he's like straight up talking about baseball and not trying to be the comic relief they make him be on the Rockies broadcast. I actually think the picture quality is really good too. I think Apple TV streams really high quality.
Yeah.
Like you can tell the difference. Like right now, if you've been watching the World Cup, if you watch it on Fox or you stream it on Fox Now, I think that's the name of their app, Fox Now or Fox One or whatever it is.
Fox One?
Is it Fox One?
That sounds right.
I don't know. Whatever the Fox Sports streaming app of choice. It's on my phone. I'm pretty sure I could tell you. Nope, I just have the old ass Fox Sports app. Never mind. But you watch it on that and then go watch it. If you have Peacock, stream the Spanish language broadcast. And you will be blown away how much better like the picture quality is.
This is what people have been saying on my timeline about NASCAR on Prime compared to NASCAR on Fox.
Yes, because the major over-the-air broadcasters, by and large, are still streaming in like 720p.
Yeah.
So or broadcasting in 720 rather than 1080. Never mind 4K. We were supposed to be full 4K by now. So I went and bought those damn 4K TVs. And ain't nothing in 4K. And you got to pay extra for it.
Industry scam.
The movies look good. Like you could tell the difference. Like I've got,
between actual cinema and television.
Yes, you can tell the difference. Like if you've got a fancy one of those Rokus. Like I've got one 4K TV.
Yeah,
and I've got a Roku box for it. And like the movies that are in 4K on and expressly say so on like Netflix or Hulu, they do look good. HBO Max, same deal. But yeah, man, whatever happened to, I kind of thought we'd have full market penetration of some 4K sports broadcasts by now. Hasn't happened. Anyway, boy, what were we talking about? Anyway, Apple TV Plus, that's where to watch the Royals tonight. And if you are unable or unwilling to stream it, you can always listen right here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9. Still to come on the show, we'll preview tonight's Royals game. We'll do that about the 5 o'clock hour or so. We still got some headlines to get into. We're going to crown a What Is Wrong With You champion. I want to talk about the Protect College Sports Act now that it's actually passed through committee. which the SCORE Act notably did not. The Protect College Sports Act got through committee yesterday. So it's going to be debated and altered on the Senate floor, and it will come up for a vote, presumably. And maybe this passes. A lot of people in the college sports sphere think it's going to. Think it will have enough support to pass. It's had a lot of support from major professional sports and their players' unions, and support as well from the Big 12 and the ACC. Not so much support for the Big 10 and the SEC. But I don't think it's a good piece of legislation. And I don't think it's a good piece of legislation because I don't think it's a necessary piece of legislation. It's the NCAA trying once again to kick the can down the road and not admit to itself about what kind of sports organization they're actually running. So we'll get into that later on in this hour as well. Want to hear from you on the text line. 785-272-9429 is the number. You can also get in the live chat on our YouTube stream. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. Go subscribe. We're 16 subscribers away from 1,000. You can get us one step closer today. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. A lot of celebrating in the chat about Team USA's confirmed 2-0 win over Australia. The United States had not won its first 2 group stage matches in a World Cup since 1930. I believe that was the first one.
Wow.
Yeah, been a while. They beat Australia today 2-0. Own goal with the eventual game winner. Huge game for own goal. Big tournament so far. I believe own goal is Team USA's leading scorer so far in this tournament. Alex Freeman added Team USA's second, initially overturned, but granted thanks to the video assistant replay. Alex Freeman, son of former NFL wide receiver Antonio Freeman. A fact that absolutely knocked me on the floor when I heard it the first time.
Yeah.
But nice, solid win for Team USA. Tyler in the YouTube chat made some money on it, but he said he was a little unimpressed. Thought the defense was sloppy, passing was atrocious, left some chances out on the field. To say that about a team that still won 2-0, maybe they're really good. Maybe Team USA just got it like that without their best player. I mean, they did not have the services of their best player, Christian Pulisic, in the match. He did not play due to injury, but Team USA won anyway. And so now they await tonight's match between Paraguay and Turkey, those two well-known rivals on the international stage. Trying to see what has to happen if Paraguay gets a result, if they beat or tie Turkey tonight, that game at Santa Clara Stadium, then Team USA not only on to the knockout round, they're already on to the knockout round, they will have won their group. And that would be a big deal to have done that. Then you don't really have to worry about your results in the in your third match against Turkey. You can take it easy. You don't have to play Pulisic if you don't want to, if you've already won the group. So go Paraguay. Let's get behind the Albiroja. That's their nickname.
Yeah, I just banged my knee under the.
All right.
In case you heard that, because it went over the dang air.
You can't see Spencer if you're watching on video, but he's here. Trust us.
Yeah.
Anyway, be careful in there. It's a, occupational hazards, I suppose. Again, text line is 785-272-9429, 785-272-9429. Also the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk. Tyler remains unimpressed. Says, talk to me when we play France. They play France. This World Cup's a massive success if they get to the point where they play France, because France will run them off the field, and that will be what will happen. But just getting there would be quite a success given this country's history in the World Cup.
Yes.
Anyhow, let's continue our countdown to kickoff. The Chiefs are 87 days away from starting the 2026 NFL season. Kind of funny. So many years, including, 2 in a row there to stretch. The Chiefs began the season. They were the first game of week one. That's the privilege you get when you're the champions. You're the first game of week one. Last year, they weren't the first game, but they were the second game of week one. So they played that Friday nighter out in Brazil. This year, they're the last week one game. They are the 16th of 16 week one games in 2026. Of course, Monday night home opener against the Denver Broncos. We're 87 days away from that day. And of course, number 87 for the Chiefs is Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce last season, at the age of 36, led the Chiefs in targets, 108 targets, caught 76 passes, 851 yards, 5 touchdowns. Now he enters an age 37 season. And when you're talking about contemporaries, there haven't been a lot of tight ends who have been primary offensive weapons for their teams at age 37. It was no longer really the case for Antonio Gates in his age 37 season for the Chargers. He only had 52 targets that season, though he played in every game that year. Jason Witten was still a primary offensive target, but we don't have to insult Jason Witten by comparing him to Travis Kelce. That's not a very nice thing to do when it comes to Jason Witten. There were people on Al Gore's internet who will argue, presumably with a straight face, behind their screen and behind their keyboard, that Jason Witten is a Hall of Fame tight end. And I don't know what to tell those people. I don't know how to talk to those people. I have the urge to pat them on the head and say, there. Let's get you to the little kids table where you can reminisce about the last time your beloved Cowboys made a conference championship game, which was before HD television. Jason Witten, not a Hall of Famer. Give me a friggin' break. Anyway, Jason Witten got 83 targets in his age 37 season. That was actually the year after he retired the first time.
I was going to say,
yeah.
Which was that? Was that when he went his little short stint on Monday Night Football?
Yeah. So he retired. He was in the broadcast booth for a year, and then he came back. And, I mean, not bad. 83 targets, 63 receptions. Of course, less than 10 yards per catch because they weren't sending Jason Witten down the field. He was catching those 3-yard button hooks.
Yeah.
Jason Witten was catching those 2-yard outs. 63 catches, 529 yards, and 4 touchdowns in his age 37 season. The gold standard is Tony G, of course, Tony Gonzalez. His age 37 season was his final season in the NFL, and he had 121 targets on that Falcons team. Caught 83 balls for 859 yards and 8 touchdowns. Those numbers not really dissimilar to what Travis Kelce put forth in his age 36 season. Can Kelce get to that level again? That's the big question. And I think there's a lot of ways, obviously, to approach how you answer that question. The first way I think you can approach it is to say, if he didn't think he could, I don't think he comes back in the first place. This is a player with a great deal of pride in his professionalism. And I think if he'd had the statistical year he had last season in 2024, I wonder if he wouldn't have come back. Never mind the result in the Super Bowl. Obviously, that was a difficult pill for everybody involved to swallow. But if Kelce had had a good season, would he have felt like, I can end it on this note? I can end it having walked off the field in the Super Bowl, even in defeat, knowing that I put forth the best possible effort I could have at the age of 35. Kelce didn't feel that way. And that was a big part of the reason, I think, more of the motivating factor to come back than having lost in that Super Bowl to the Eagles. And I think you can tell that because he was noticeably better. He seemed to be in better physical shape. Not to say that he was out of shape in his age 35 season, but he was in better shape last year, more physically able to perform.
Well, I think too,
and got back to a level certainly not his prime, right? But back to a level where he was one of the most productive tight ends in the NFL.
I think too, his life was a bit different last year. He wasn't traveling the world to spend time with his girlfriend, fiance.
This is true.
So when you do that, you have more of a home base, then you're more apt to stay in the sessions or, training set, whatever you do to stay, you're more apt to do that because you're not, oh, I'm going here. And I think that also plays a role into it.
I think there were a lot of factors that contributed to Kelce being able to bounce back last season. And the thing that motivates him, the thing that I think he truly loves and isn't ready to give up, is being one of the guys, being in the locker room, being a leader, being an elder statesman on this team, being an example. I think he takes that very seriously.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's anybody in that locker room that takes the idea of being a good teammate more seriously than Travis Kelce. So he's back. And if he's got another year like last year in him, I think obviously that's a big help, because you're talking about 76 receptions, 851 yards, 5 touchdowns. Could he be more of a valid target in the red zone, particularly if the play action game comes back into vogue for the Chiefs with a more credible running threat in the red zone this year? Yeah, I think that there's a chance for Kelce to maybe see some more red zone targets and some more red zone success to even up those touchdown numbers a bit. But the second half of that question is it a bad thing if the Chiefs need Travis Kelce to be targeted 108 times? Because, again, that led the Chiefs last year. Now, he was the only primary pass catcher to play all 17 games, right?
I was going to say,
Xavier Worthy didn't play all 17.
Injury led to that.
Rashee Rice didn't play all 17. Yeah, so injury is definitely a part. Availability. You can't get any targets if you're in street clothes, right? And Travis Kelce was there all 17 games. He was out there. If the Chiefs need to target him another 100 times this season, I don't know that that's necessarily best for this offense. To give you an idea, the Chiefs targeted tight ends 147 times last year, compared to 312 targets for wide receivers. Now, they threw the ball 549 times. That's a number I would think would go up this year, presuming a healthy Mahomes for all 17 games. Because remember, they had those games with Oladokin out there, and they were running a high school offense, and they weren't really throwing the ball. So they'll probably, I would anticipate they would have more passing attempts this season.
I think, too, things could come into play at least early on where maybe Patrick, even though he feels comfortable to play, he might throw the ball to Kelce if he's open shorter instead of waiting for a guy longer if he feels the rush.
He's definitely more of an underneath target at this stage, right?
Yeah, and I think, like, if he's there, right? Mm-hmm. And that could be good for both, like, for Mahomes in the process of coming back, because I think getting hit those first 20, 30 times, being hit as you throw, or, somebody coming at you, it gets anybody, right? No matter if you're a sicko like Patrick Mahomes, who's going to come back, presumably the time frame that he's going to come back. So I think always having Kelce underneath, if that's a possibility, I think that could lead to a higher number of targets, at least maybe in the beginning of the year.
I don't think that's out of line.
I think maybe beginning of the year we see more target share compared to the end of the year, if things go well for Mahomes.
So of the 147 tight end targets last year, he got 108 of them. I think, if I remember correctly I didn't write all the numbers down, but I think Jared Wiley got 1 target. Robert Tonyan got 1 target.
Yep.
And Noah Gray then got the other 38 tight end targets.
Sounds about right.
So I think Noah Gray is as much an answer to this question as anything that has to do with Travis Kelce, because Gray fell out of favor last season after what looked like a breakthrough 2024. And to hear Matt Derrick tell it, we just had Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider, on. He mentioned that, boy, I didn't see Gray show particularly well during camp. And it's an unproven tight end room after those two guys, because Jared Wiley's only played, I think, 122 career snaps. He's called him a redshirt freshman, more of a redshirt sophomore, because he had the injury and then he had last year. So he's going into year 3, and he does kind of feel like a redshirt sophomore in that way. And then you have Jake Brenningstool, who was on the practice squad all last year. Is he a factor? Any of the other guys they brought in to operate the practice squad? Like, Kelce's still a hugely important part of that tight end room. Can Noah Gray take a step back forward? If Gray can take a step back forward, then you do ask a little bit less of Kelce simply because you don't feel like you need to play him 75, 80% of the snaps. And the other thing that I do believe is a factor is you heard Matt mention Travis Kelce doesn't like coming off the field.
Yeah.
Is he going to take that message a little lighter when it comes from Eric Bieniemy as opposed to when it came from Matt Nagy? I don't think so. I think there will be more of an understanding and a willingness at this stage and for this team if Travis Kelce needs to, in certain situations, not be primarily on the field. They're going to be better with him on the field still at age 37. But you also still want there to be some legs in November and December. And especially for a Chiefs team who they will have designs on the postseason. They will have designs on hosting playoff games. They will have designs on winning a championship because when you have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, that's what you aim for. And in this era, the Chiefs have always prioritized, we got to be at our best in November and December. We got to round into form when the weather starts getting cold, when the games start to mean something, when you're playing for seeding, when you're playing for a division title. That's when you want to see Kelce at his best. Frankly, that's when Kelce 2 years ago in a down year was at his best. So can they balance the bounce back, return to form that Kelce experienced last year with the ability to have him at his best, at his peak in the season in November, in December, and hopefully into January and maybe even into February? That's going to be the balancing act that I think will be really interesting for the Chiefs to follow. One other thought about the tight end spot. Jared Wiley was a second-day pick that to this point hasn't panned out, and some of that is due to injury, and that's nobody's fault. Sometimes that happens. Football's a violent game. The Noah Gray thing is really fascinating. I don't know why his production fell off a cliff last year, but he was barely noticeable out there.
They had signed him to an extension,
yeah,
too.
He got paid. They gave him real money.
He got paid and then did nothing.
Yes.
He stole from Brett Veach.
So the Chiefs not having, to this point, the successor to Travis Kelce on the roster. And listen, that's going to be unfair to whoever the next TE1 for the Chiefs is when Kelce finally does hang it up, to say that, oh, this is the successor to Travis Kelce, because there ain't no succeeding Travis Kelce. That's one of the greatest tight ends in NFL history. Being the guy that follows the guy is going to be really difficult, no matter if you're talking about a day 2 draft pick or a day 1 draft pick or a big money free agent or whatever. But it's clear they don't really have a plan in place there. And I know you can't address every need all at once. You can't go into the draft and check every single box. You have to devote your resources in free agency and in the draft. You have to really hone in on the things that you feel like are your team's biggest weaknesses, your biggest holes. For the Chiefs, the last couple of years, they have not viewed tight end as an impending issue. They clearly did not believe this year that tight end was going to be an issue for them.
Yeah.
That's how much they believe that Travis Kelce, even though well removed from his Hall of Fame prime, still has the capacity to be a very good NFL tight end. And the only reason that feels like a step back is because of how freaking great Travis Kelce was at his absolute best. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll come back with a round of What Is Wrong With You. We'll crown a weekly champion here on 580 WIBW.
Spencer Dupuis for 580 WIBW, and sports and local info is always within reach with the MSC Radio app. As we recently joined MSC Radio out of Hiawatha, stay connected to 580 WIBW by texting the station at 785-272-9429. Check out local events, discover our sister stations, and follow along on social media, all for the palm of your hands. Download the MSC Radio app on the App Store or Google Play, and keep your community connection strong wherever you go. 580 WIBW and MSC Radio Network station.
Farming is dangerous. There's dangers all around us.
We go through safety training and try and do these things to make sure accidents don't happen.
You don't want to hit a gas pipe because that's your life. The other part of it is if you hit certain things, you're liable for it.
Farm Safe 811 starts with you. Always call 811 and wait for any underground lines to be marked.
Always keep safety in the back of your mind. Just stay humble. For more information, go to farmsafe811.org.
WIBW, Topeka.
What the hell?
What the hell?
What is wrong with you time here on 580 Sports Talk? Two news stories competing today. We did find out yesterday on the program, which of course was our friend Brendan Dworzinski's final show with us here on 580 Sports Talk. In case you missed that announcement, Brendan is headed to a new frontier in his career. And if you follow him on social media, I'm sure he'll make an announcement fairly soon, but he's not going far. He's just leaving here. So we gave Brendan a send-off yesterday. If you missed the show, it's up on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go check it out. He wore a suit. He ate a carrot. It was a big day. It was a fun show.
And he had some cookies.
He did. He also ate some cookies. But we did a couple of classic What Is Wrong With Yous, that were some of Brendan's best stories. And we had some people both in the YouTube and on the text line say, boy, I hope it's this story, or please play this story. And if we didn't play those stories, I did find that I think there's an appetite for What Is Wrong With You Classic. I wonder if maybe we do that as like a time filler on a Friday show someday. We just roll it in the 5 o'clock hour, bring back an old monthly winner.
You know what? We got about a month and a week before training camp gets going.
We do. So we may
might
have to. We
might have some time.
If you folks really do have an appetite to hear some 580 Sports Talk Classic, What Is Wrong With Yous, we've got plenty of them in the vault. We do. We've saved monthly champions. We've saved some stories that weren't monthly champions, but just made us laugh. So, if that's something y'all have some interest in, let us know. 785-272-9429 in the live chat on YouTube. Maybe that's something we do down the road. Anyway, our current weekly champion this week, blame it on my friend Jack. Gentleman drank an entire handle of Jack Daniels on his birthday. As you can imagine, lost some control of his facilities, started firing guns in his house. His family called the police on him. Police brought a helicopter. He shot at the helicopter. He'll have 9 years in jail to think about what he's done and hopefully not touch a drop of Jack Daniels. We got two news stories today. Spencer, you want to go first?
Yes, I am going to Martinsburg, West Virginia. That is where I used to work.
Okay.
Two former employees of the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office have been indicted after authorities say they discovered a multi-years-long, multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. According to a press release in the Department of Justice, the indictment names 60-year-old Barbara Gooden and 48-year-old Lisa French, both of Martinsburg. The indictment states that from 2007 until 2024, yes, that long, the two women, quote, conspired to defraud by embezzling cash payments collected by the sheriff's office and manipulating conservatorship and estate bank accounts under the office's administration, end quote. During the time, the woman forged signatures, issued fraudulent checks, misused a signature stamp, and diverted funds for personal use. The fraudulent checks were drawn from the conservator account and issued to either a private business or the Berkeley County Sheriff and Treasurer to the woman's benefit. At the end of the fraud, they allegedly misappropriated around more than $3 million. The indictment shows they allegedly carried out more than 700 fraudulent transactions with 550 forged checks, taking large amounts of funds from at least 59 conservator bank accounts. They're going to continue to look into the rest of the office. The United States is seeking forfeiture of property derived from the offenses, including money judgment. It was a lot of people working together for this, but
17 years
17
they went undetected.
years undetected, but it doesn't surprise me because that was looked into after, like, that they investigated here, because the sheriff got into a lot of trouble when I was still there.
Okay.
So I think it was like that happened. Oh, we're really going to start looking into all this because there's probably some erroneous stuff going on, and clearly there was.
So I gotta bring a calculator up here. I gotta get the calculator app fired up. So 17 years of this.
Yes.
And they embezzled $3 million.
Yeah.
Misappropriated, allegedly. $3 million. Divided by 17. That's $176,000 a year. Divide that by 12. That's $14,000 a month. I don't think that's a small enough amount that you just wouldn't notice for 17 years.
Yeah, again, I think it ties back to the sheriff that was not great there before. So he probably didn't, kind of was like.
So it was all crooked, and now they're just, they're draining the swamp in Martinsburg, is what you're telling me.
They got a good sheriff now.
All right. For my story today, you've heard of the Fast and the Furious. This story is called The Swift and the Senile. We go to Lake County, Florida, where deputies arrested 2 people on Friday, one of whom was 85 years old, to face charges including street racing. An 85-year-old street racing at 11:30 at night. A deputy traveling southbound on US 27 and County Road 33 in Leesburg, Florida, reported seeing 2 vehicles, a red Corvette and a gray 2-door sports car, driving at a high rate of speed. Using radar, the deputy determined that the Corvette was traveling 125 miles per hour and the gray car was traveling at 110, both of them in a 45 mile per hour zone. One deputy pulled over the Corvette as another deputy went after the gray car. The driver of the gray car was identified as 85-year-old William Bosworth of Leesburg. He said the other driver had swerved at him and should not have done that. Bosworth told the deputy that he was out having a ride in his favorite car and not trying to do anything with anybody before he reacted to the alleged swerving, apparently by punching it. The other driver, 57-year-old Philip Signorino of Titusville, faces the same charges. He denied having reached high speed, claiming his Corvette was incapable of going that fast.
A Corvette.
Yeah, like
incapable of going that fast.
Officer, I think you got the wrong guy. My car didn't go that fast. Your Corvette doesn't go that fast. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, officer. This baby, she's not built for speed. I think you've got the wrong guy here. There's the governor on this puppy. There's certain 125 miles an hour. Me? No. Lamborghini, sure. Ferrari, absolutely, but not me. No, not my Corvette.
Yeah, and it's also in Florida, right? So
yes.
they have that new super speeders law too.
85 years old, driving 110 miles an hour at 11:30 at night. That is horrifying.
Yeah, I think at night like that, I wouldn't want to give it's pretty late. I wouldn't want to speed like that to give a reason to be pulled over.
An 85-year-old behind the wheel can be a dodgy proposition. In broad daylight, driving exactly the speed limit can be a dodgy proposition. This guy said, you're not going to disrespect me. You and your little Corvette aren't going to disrespect me and my favorite car. I'm coming for you. And unfortunately, it appeared he was getting dusted. The other guy was going 15 miles an hour faster than he was. The 85-year-old, he did not have a 10-second car. The other guy did, and he tried to lie about it. No, I can't go that fast in this Corvette, officer. That's really funny. There's a lot of really funny elements to this story. I think it wins, and I'm almost tempted to give it the week. And the reason I'm tempted to give it the week is because that guy who shot at a police helicopter drank an entire bottle of Jack Daniels. And while that in itself is a very stupid thing to do, you should not do that in one sitting or even in one day. You should not do that. I want to be very clear where the 580 Sports Talk position on drinking Jack Daniels falls, or any kind of hard liquor. Don't finish a bottle by yourself in a day.
Yeah.
Don't do that, please, for your own health and for the safety of others. An 85-year-old going street racing with a 57-year-old who denied that his Corvette could go that fast? That's really funny to me. I think that wins.
Yeah, you got me. You convinced me.
There we go. The Swift and the Senile, our winner. It sneaks in on Friday. It's our weekly champion on 580 Sports Talk. What is wrong with you? When we come back, the Protect College Sports Act is going to the Senate floor. Hopefully they make it suck less. Talk about why it sucks on 580 Sports Talk next.
Celebrate America's once-in-a-lifetime 250th birthday with Jake's Fireworks. Our superstores are packed with the best selection of world-class fireworks, including exclusive patriotic 250th anniversary fireworks you won't find anywhere else. Plus, save big with hot deals and bundle deals store-wide. Join VIP rewards for even more coupons and savings. America's birthday party starts now. Visit jakesfireworks.com and find a store near you. Jake's Fireworks.
Stay connected with agriculture.
The White House Economic Recovery Group includes agriculture leaders,
Guests that are movers and shakers.
It's a pleasure, as always, to bring on the program Kansas U.S. Senator Jerry Moran.
Greg, good morning to you. I'm pleased to be with you and our listeners this morning. Ag news that keeps you ahead of the game. Because none of us like to be told by anybody what we're supposed to do or can do or can't do. Weekday mornings 5 to 7 on 580 WIBW at FM 104.9.
As a truck driver, I've learned how important road safety is. I know that large trucks need more time and room to stop. That's why I always hang back and follow other vehicles at a safe distance. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're driving, try to remember to always give trucks extra space when you merge in front of them. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
WIBW, Topeka.
.580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer with you. It's 4:44 on this lovely Friday afternoon. What's the fastest you've ever gone in a vehicle that you were driving, Spencer? You ever get up to 125 or 110 like our octogenarian in Florida in our What Is Wrong With You winner?
Allegedly.
You won't self-incriminate.
Allegedly, I saw the speedometer very, very, very close to triple digits.
So
I'm not going to name the speed, but they were double numbers at the very end before you hit 100.
When I got my Charger, I have a Dodge Charger, and I've had it for a long time. It's an old car now. But when I first got it, I was living out in northeastern Colorado, and I was coming back from Estes Park, and there's really flat and straight 2-lane highways that take you, basically you get off I-25, the big north-south interstate in Colorado, and head out and catch northeast Colorado. There was a flat and straight state highway, and I pushed it to 105 before I chickened out. Like, speed limit 65. There's nobody else on the road.
Yeah.
And this was like late, like early evening, so plenty of daylight out. And I said, all right, let's see. And I chickened out. Like it had more juice. I just chickened out.
Yeah, I chickened out when I was getting real close. I was like, I can't hit that number. Like,
Yeah.
why would I hit that number? There was so similar. So when I worked at my last job, my parents lived literally about an hour away. And so Martinsburg is right on near Harper's Ferry and all that stuff. So you come down the Blue Ridge Mountains into West Virginia. And once you get into West Virginia, you get down, you go over the Shenandoah River, and it is there. They did like a byway kind of thing. And in West Virginia, it's split 2 lanes each way. You can see straight down before you hit an interchange that will take you back to Virginia or over to Interstate 81 in Martinsburg. And you can see clear down the road as you're coming down the hill. And I had left my parents and I was going back and I had to go to the bathroom so bad. And it's another 30 minutes from there. And there's no gas station around it. I had to go. So that's when I hit 99.
Okay. Yeah.
I could see everything that was going on. I had Waze on, so there was no cops. And I hit 99. I was like, all right, I got to slow down.
Yeah. If I weren't such a big chicken, I think I probably could have gotten to, I could have probably gotten it to 120 in the Charger. It's seen better days. It's still it's a work car. I take my kid to daycare. I go to work. I go home.
We
got a family car that we,
it's a
take
V6,
on road trips.
Right?
Yes, it's the V6, not the V8. That's the other thing too. Like if it had been the Hemi,
I think you wouldn't have noticed, and you would have
looked
already
down
been.
and like, I'm at 120 and I didn't even push the accelerator. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just, yeah. Thank goodness. Those days are over. You start driving a lot more carefully when like there's something you want to come home to, something you care about coming home to a lot more, like, a wife and a child. And, you leave your lead foot days in the past. You do. Anyhow. So news from yesterday, the Protect College Sports Act has passed the Commerce Committee. The Senate Commerce Committee voted 19-9 to move the bill forward to a full Senate vote. And this act would provide the NCAA with an antitrust exemption, per this article from Dan Murphy of ESPN, so that it could enforce a cap on payments to athletes, as well as rules related to eligibility and transfers in college sports. It also creates an opportunity for schools to sell their media rights as one large entity rather than on a conference-by-conference basis, which is intended to help fund less profitable sports and close the significant financial gap between most of college sports and its 2 biggest conferences, the SEC and Big Ten. The details of the bill are still subject to change. Its path to becoming a federal law remains an uphill battle, with the bill facing a time crunch ahead of November's elections and opposition on several fronts, most notably from leaders of the SEC and the Big Ten. So there is broad support, particularly in the wake of everything that went down in the Brendan Sorsby saga. There is broad support for the NCAA being given more teeth so that it can enforce its own rules and not be subject to having its rules upended by a favorable judge in a favorable courtroom. And I understand that compulsion. I understand that feeling. If the NCAA cannot enforce its rules, then what good is it as a governing body? If it cannot enforce without question rules agreed upon by its member schools, its member conferences, member institutions, then what the hell good is it as a governing body?
Yeah.
That's valid. I do. I think that is valid. And so there is, I think, a broader sympathy for the idea of this bill passing. The NFL and the NBPA, the NFLPA, and Major League Baseball have all made statements in favor of this bill. But later on in Dan Murphy's piece, he gets to the idea where this bill is not necessary if the NCAA would just be honest with itself. Here's the paragraph. While the bill does provide an antitrust exemption, it remains silent on whether any college athletes should be considered employees of their schools in the future. Republicans and most NCAA officials wanted legislation that would block employee status for athletes because they say many smaller schools wouldn't be able to afford their current lineup of sports. Further down the article, athletes would have the potential to unionize and collectively bargain for more pay or other benefits if they are deemed to be employees. Professional sports leagues are able to effectively enforce their own salary caps and other rules through negotiated collective bargaining agreements. Several college sports coaches and administrators have, within the last year, started to embrace the idea of bargaining with their athletes if Congress is unable to pass a bill. Professional sports leagues get to negotiate collective bargaining agreements with their labor. This bill allows the NCAA to bypass, effectively, negotiation with the labor. You get to negotiate with the conferences. You get to negotiate with university presidents. You get to negotiate with coaches, athletic directors. The Brett Yormarks and the Greg Sankeys of the world. But the labor gets left out because you continue not to recognize the college athlete as the labor that you have for years exploited, the labor that is why anybody's there in the first place. At the end of the day, we turn on the games to watch the players. The players, without the players, there's no game. And the NCAA's continued refusal to just admit this is pro sports. We're making so much money. We're making unfathomable amounts of money. We're making money comparable to professional sports. And it's not good enough just to allow athletes to be able to profit from their own name, image, and likeness. They ought to be able to negotiate for better contracts and other benefits, better health benefits, things like that. It's not just about the money here, right? We can get really myopic about this. And we think, it's just about the money. It's just about, we want the bigger NIL deals. And yeah, on the one hand, that's great. That's great for the kids. But you know what else is great? Better health benefits. Post-college career benefits. I'm not saying you get a pension plan if you play 4 years of Division I football, but something that might allow you to continue to receive benefits if you suffer a career-ending injury that requires lifelong or long-term rehabilitation or care.
Yeah.
Things like that the NCAA continue to deny the student athlete because it won't acknowledge it as an employee, as somebody that you collectively bargain with. If you get there, you don't need legislation. You get to the point where you solve a lot of these problems in college sports about player movement and unlimited transfers and short-term NIL deals that aren't worth the paper they're printed on and rules you can't enforce, because then everybody agrees. And that everybody here in the NCAA, it is important to note, it is not just NCAA administrators, conference administrators, university administrators. Aren't you forgetting someone? The labor.
Yeah.
You keep leaving them out, you're never going to come up with a solution that is truly fair and equitable. We'll take a break, come back with Change My Mind coming up next to wrap up the 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk.
This week on Animal Radio,
Dr. Sarah Dunham Cheatham will be joining us. She is a postdoctoral scholar. She did a little study on some pet food. She randomly sampled some pet foods, not tasted them.
That's a good point. Clarify that.
And she found high levels of mercury in your pet food. Your pet food has a heavy metal in it. We're going to find out what that's all about and what we can do about it.
grab your pet and join us for Animal Radio.
Saturdays at 7 p.m. and Sundays at noon. FM 104.9, 580 WIBW.
Treat Dad this Father's Day with great gifts from Menards. From levels, nailers, and drills to complete any project, to tool chests, recliners, and grills. We've got the perfect gifts to make this Father's Day one to remember. Stop by your local Menards today and save big money on gifts for Dad.
Plus, check out our weekly flyer on menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from Mid-Sydney Ad Council.
WIBW, Topeka.
Change my mind here on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer, you almost never get to go on this segment, so I'm going to let you go first. You haven't changed my mind today?
Yeah, changed my mind. Ranch is the condiment of America. I don't know if you've seen the news lately.
The condiment of America. I did. Apparently, yeah. They're not as into ranch as we are elsewhere. Yes, it has been wonderful to see people from other nations coming to our shores for the World Cup and discovering our customs, like Buc-ee's and Waffle House, and apparently ranch dressing
that they're trying to bring back with them. Apparently,
I didn't see that.
The TSA has warned against it.
I did see one post. It's like, we need ranch in Europe. Tell everyone you know. Like, I got ranch? I didn't realize they didn't have ranch. But yeah, the TSA is telling people they can only bring back so much ranch dressing.
Yeah.
Apparently that is America's condiment. Who knew? They're going to bring back a lot of our customs. It's going to be, you're going to be able to get ranch. You're going to be able to get beaver nuggets. There's a great clip of a French guy saying, I wanted to hate Buc-ee's, but I tried the beaver nuggets. They were delicious. I do not know what was in them. It was such a great clip. It's out there, lives on TikTok or something. Yeah, we're swaying the folks overseas. We've been a good host for this World Cup. Coming up at the 5 o'clock hour, we got headlines and a World Cup roundup, and we'll preview Royals baseball. That's coming up.
Authorities have arrested a man after a woman was killed in a yesterday evening boating accident until very late. Jefferson County authorities say the crash was reported around 6 p.m. Jefferson County Sheriff Timothy Wilson said the crash involved two water vessels colliding. According to Lieutenant Halfman, Avaleza was killed and 20-year-old Carter Page was arrested by Kansas Wildlife and Parks officials in connection with vehicular homicide. He was released from jail just after midnight after posting a $5,000 bail. And at least 11 skydivers and one pilot were killed in a plane crash in Butler, Missouri. Officials say it happened just after takeoff. The victims have not been identified. NTSB is still investigating this incident. Skydive Kansas says the plane did belong to them.
This Kansas Information Network update is brought to you by Eaton Roofing and Exteriors.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities, so do like I do. Have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today.
Visit mintmobile.com/radio. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Celebrate America's once-in-a-lifetime 250th birthday with Jake's Fireworks. Our superstores are packed with the best selection of world-class fireworks, including exclusive patriotic 250th anniversary fireworks you won't find anywhere else. Plus, save big with hot deals and bundle deals store-wide. Join VIP rewards for even more coupons and savings. America's birthday party starts now. Visit jakesfireworks.com and find a store near you. Jake's Fireworks.
This is Spencer Dupuis from 580 WIBW, and sports and local info is always within reach with the MSC Radio app. As we recently joined MSC Radio out of Hiawatha, stay connected to 580 WIBW by texting the station at 785-272-9429. Check out local events, discover our sister stations, and follow along on social media, all from the palm of your hands. Download the MSC Radio app on the App Store or Google Play and keep your community connection strong wherever you go. 580 WIBW and MSC Radio Network station.
Here's your updated WIBW forecast from the Certified Transmission Weather Center.
The flood watch begins at 7 p.m. tomorrow night and continues until 1 p.m. Sunday afternoon. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 86. Southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles an hour. Cloudy skies expected tonight. Chance of thunderstorms. Lows dip down to about 65. I'm staff meteorologist Ray Miller. Right now, 81.
Stay connected with breaking news on WIBW.
Let's get it. Final hour of the day, final hour of the week here on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis with you on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, in your pocket on the MSC Radio app, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. So many ways to check out the show. We're just glad you're along for the ride on this Feel Good Friday. One more hour to spend together and plenty to get to in this time we have. We got our 580 Sports Talk headlines, including a World Cup roundup, a happy World Cup roundup, given Team USA's result earlier today against Australia. Might have been the first match in World Cup history between two countries that call it soccer. You know, they call it soccer in Australia.
Well,
they call it soccer. That was actually kind of good.
That was. I got to give you props for that one.
Yeah, fair to Midland Aussie accent there. But yes, two countries that call it soccer. And Team USA winning earlier will get you caught up on all the action for the World Cup, U.S. Open, everything else going on in the world of sports in our 580 Sports Talk headlines. Got some early Big 12 over-unders to take a peek at. Some win totals from BetMGM. We will get a look at those, see what we like, see what we don't. And we'll take a look at some Royals baseball as well, because we are taking you up to Game 2 of the 3-game series between the Royals and the Cardinals tonight. A 7:15 first pitch to accommodate Apple TV Plus. 6:30 pregame right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. We'll have a 580 Sports Talk overtime conversation of the day for you to fill the void between 6 and 6:30. We'll re-rack our conversation from earlier today with our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick. You are, as always, invited and encouraged to be a part of the discussion here on 580 Sports Talk. Want to hear from you. 785-272-9429 is the number. 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in our YouTube chat. 580 Sports Talk is the name of that chat. We were talking about the Protect College Sports Act, and I mentioned that the fair and equitable way, those were my words, to move forward is if the NCAA acknowledges that its student athletes are, in fact, employees. Why wouldn't you? If you can be an employee as a student, if you're working at the campus bookstore, if you can be an employee and get a paycheck if you're working at the campus radio station. Did you ever work a campus job when you were in college, Spencer?
I did not, because the campus radio station did not pay, but I was on the board and we got free. We would go places for free.
Oh, interesting.
We would go to conventions. We would go to.
So we got a stipend. We were employees and we got paid. We got essentially, it wasn't big money or anything like that, but we were on the board. When I was on the board of our college radio station at DePauw University, we got a stipend. We got checked. We got paid. So if you can be an employee and work at the campus radio station, the campus bookstore, or the campus ice cream store, or whatever coffee shop.
Nowadays, broadcasting the games on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, if you can be an
if you're
employee,
a video guy,
then why can you not be an employee and play football or play basketball or play softball? Like, why can't you be an employee? And the response to that is going to be the fear mongering over, well, we can't afford it all. We can't afford to do that and then also maintain our Olympic sports. Well, you better figure out a way. A text from the 785 in response to that says, well, you say fair and equitable. They say profitable. Guess which one wins? Well, profitable. It was, when it was real profitable? When they didn't have to share any of their money, when there was no NIL. And that lost in court. So which one wins? A lot of times fair and equitable wins when you get in front of a court, when you get in front of a judge, when you don't win on the Senate floor. I don't know if the Protect College Sports Act is going to pass. There are people that think it's going to. There are people that think it has a better chance of passing than the SCORE Act ever did. That's why it got to the Senate floor. But, tight turnaround. There are going to be some changes to it. The SEC and the Big Ten are adamantly opposed. There's a chance it doesn't either. And if it doesn't, then, well, where does the NCAA go? If it wants to really be an effective governing body and enforce its rules, then maybe it ought to negotiate for a way to negotiate its rules. Or to enforce its rules. And maybe that negotiation ought to include the labor. Like, tell me why that doesn't make sense. Anyway, appreciate the text. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. Start with our headlines.
I was going to say, should we hit the headline?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's start with our headlines. Let's start with a not-so-happy headline from the Kansas City Royals. Bobby Witt Jr. left last night's 14-6 win over the St. Louis Cardinals early after aggravating a right knee injury when he was sliding to make a play on a ground ball in the short outfield in the second inning of the game. Or fourth inning of the game, excuse me. Left the game due to what was called right knee soreness. They've done some imaging, and the word is it is a grade 1 MCL sprain for Bobby Witt Jr. He is not in the Royals lineup tonight. Manager Matt Quatrero says they will reevaluate how Witt feels tomorrow after the rare Saturday off day. A quote from Quatrero per Ann Rodgers of MLB.com. It's not a surgical thing. It's going to be a lot of get the swelling out of there and understand how he feels. And those conversations are going to have to be honest between all of us. The injured list remains a possibility for the Royals star shortstop. Going into today's action, Witt leads the league in wins above replacement. He's been the most valuable player in the American League. He's played in all 76 of the Royals games this season, hitting .294 with an .833 OPS, 19 doubles, 10 homers, and an American League high 28 stolen bases. In fact, not just an American League high, a Major League leading 28 stolen bags for the 26-year-old shortstop, who also leads all American League shortstops in the All-Star Game fan vote as well. I don't know that you necessarily want to mess around with an injury like this. Like Bobby Witt Jr. is the last guy who's going to ask out of the lineup or ask for time off to let something heal. But also, the Royals are 31-45. They don't exactly need to rush Bobby Witt Jr. on this. A 10-day IL stint honestly wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. You'd like to think it wouldn't cost him most valuable player. Like, if anything's going to cost him MVP, it's his team's record and not anything about like the caliber of year that he's having. I'd rather see him take 2 weeks and get right and come back and be the best version of Bobby Witt Jr. than try and grit his way through a troublesome knee injury that could have a cascading effect later on. Now, if the Royals were like 500 or thereabouts, you would understand then more the compulsion to try and play through a nagging injury like that, because lots of guys play through nagging injuries. Mike Hill Garcia has been playing through a nagging hand injury. I think that's really limited, certainly his power, but I think his overall offensive effectiveness this season. Vinny Pasquantino played through a back injury. Salvador Perez played through a hip injury. Guys play through stuff. It's just part and parcel of the 162-game grind. But when you're talking about the franchise in a lost season, I think you might want to throttle back on him for his sake. And I would not be surprised if a short IL stint resulted. Hopefully a minimum. It sounds like this was the best case scenario as far as the caliber of injury. Grade 1 is the least severe sprain you can have. But I would hate to see the problem compound and other things flare up for a player who's still so young and still so talented and still going to be such a big part of the Royals' future. So that'll bear monitoring. Obviously, if he feels like he can play through it largely pain-free, he's going to. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not in the lineup on Sunday, frankly, which is kind of a drag. But we'll monitor that moving forward through the weekend. Bobby Witt Jr., grade 1 MCL sprain. Next headline, Spencer.
Yeah, first headline for me, some recognition to a Topeka native and Seaman grad. That's Dagan Brewer. He's been named the Division II National Baseball Player of the Year after a record-breaking season down at Pittsburgh State. His bat powered one of the most explosive offenses in the country as he hit north of 400 while leading the MIAA in home runs, RBIs, and on-base percentage. His standout season also earned him the MIAA Player of the Year honors and national awards from both D2 Baseball and from NCAA.com. So congratulations, Dagan Brewer.
Great career, multi-sport career, if I remember correctly, at Seaman, and obviously continued that success on through to Pitt State, and had received another a previous national award. So I think he's the consensus Division II National Player of the Year. We'll keep an eye on Dagan's name when the Major League Baseball entry draft approaches. It'll be next month around the All-Star break. Maybe sees his name called in one of the later rounds this year. That'd be pretty cool to see. Speaking of the Major League Baseball draft, Major League Baseball would like there to be less of a draft. The ongoing...
They already killed it before.
They did. Used to be 50 rounds. Used to be even more than that. Now it's 20. And Major League Baseball would like to shrink it even more. This was reporting from yesterday evening from Jeff Passan of ESPN. Major League Baseball has proposed widespread changes to its amateur entry system that would cut signing bonuses by more than $150 million annually, make high school players ineligible for the domestic draft, and institute an international draft. The proposal called for the domestic draft to be shortened from 20 rounds to 12 hard-slotted rounds, which means instead of negotiating with your draft pick for how much you're going to pay them, a hard slot figure that if you were drafted there, that is your bonus. The amateur signing pool would be nearly halved to $200 million. An international draft would cover all amateur players outside of the U.S., Canada, and Puerto Rico, would be 12 rounds with a $200 million bonus pool. Major League Baseball's Players Union said these proposals, quote, fall woefully short and would cost players $1 billion in earnings over the course of the next 5 years, including $400 million from this year to 2027 compared to the current system. So here's what Major League Baseball is trying to do here. Two things at the heart of every one of the proposals from the league. Everything the league has done, really under the Rob Manfred commissionership, and everything that they're going to propose prior to the end of this collective bargaining agreement, which expires at the end of the season. Number one is less baseball. We have a smaller draft. So that means fewer players entering the professional ranks. We have fewer minor league baseball teams. We have the minor leagues used to be 6 levels. They're now 4. You've got these affiliate leagues that are out there, but that's not the same as the 6-tier minor league system used to have, where you started with rookie ball. Now you've got the complex leagues, which are a joke and not really helping you develop players the same way that the actual competition of the rookie leagues and the short season A-ball used to provide. Now they move the draft later in the year, so you can't even get your draftees really started in a good way in the minor leagues anymore. Anyway, less baseball. That's number one. The owners and Rob Manfred, they hate baseball. They want less of it. Number two, you know what else the owners hate doing? Spending money. So they want to spend less money. This is what it comes down to. The players that make the most money in Major League Baseball are the players who sign big money extensions or free agent deals in their prime years. I'm talking about guys like Juan Soto, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, Bobby Witt Jr. Guys who are either entering or are going to enter free agency in the middle of their 20s. And why do they get the chance to hit free agency in their mid-20s? Because they debuted when they were 21 or 20 or 19 in some cases. If you prohibit high school players, high school age players, from being eligible for both an international draft and a Major League Baseball entry draft, you are eliminating the class of player who makes the most money. You are eliminating that player, or at the very least, you are delaying their entry into the major leagues to such a degree that when they do become eligible for free agency, they are later in their careers. They are maybe 29 or 30 instead of being 26 or 27. And do you know what everybody in the industry's already agreed not to do? Give huge contracts to guys entering their 30s. The highest paid players are the ones who get paid in their mid-20s. The owners know this, and they want to eliminate that class of player, or at the very least, make it harder for that class of player to get paid that kind of money. Because everybody in the industry has accepted. Like, if you hit free agency as a 30-year-old or a 31-year-old, you're not going to make $700 million like Juan Soto did when he hit free agency at age 26 or 27, however old. I think he was 26 when he got that deal from the Mets. That's all about the owners not wanting to give out those contracts anymore. They don't want to give big dollars to anybody. And if they have to eliminate the high school age draftee to make that happen, they're willing to do that. Under this proposal also, you would become eligible to enter the draft as a college sophomore. So essentially be 19 or 20. To enter the draft, but you have to play 2 years of college baseball. Unsurprisingly, you know who loves this? College baseball coaches.
Yeah.
College baseball people love this proposal because now, instead of playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Connor Griffin would have just finished his sophomore season at LSU. Instead of, he's good enough right now to be the everyday shortstop. He's on the IL, but you get the idea. He's the everyday shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates. A good team this year, a decent team. And he's good enough to be their everyday shortstop at an age where this new proposal would say, nope, sorry, got to do 2 years of college ball. Sorry. That's the rule. And not only is that not necessary in baseball, like an age requirement in football makes a little bit more sense, right? There are not a lot of 18-year-olds that are ready to go play NFL football. Not a lot of 19-year-olds that are physically ready for that. Maybe some of them would have been. Adrian Peterson probably could have handled it. Leonard Fournette probably would have done fine. Jadeveon Clowney could have held his own. But like small percentage, right? You're protecting a lot of those young guys from themselves. But in baseball, sometimes you're 18, you're 19, you're ready. You're just ready. You're physically ready. You've got the skills. You've got the juice. You're ready to go play Major League Baseball. And to say, nope, you got to play college. You got to go the college route. Sorry. Obviously, the college people are going to love that. But let's be honest. And Major League Baseball people, the union and people around baseball say the same thing. Professional baseball is better at developing players than college baseball, because the job of the minor league manager is not to go win the Texas League. The job is to develop the players. Nobody cares and nobody remembers who wins the freaking California League or the Northwest League or
Carolina League.
The Carolina League. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a damn about the standings. When was the last time you looked at the minor league baseball standings if you did not live in a minor league city? Who cares? It's not about the winning or losing. It is about developing the skill sets of players and turning them into major leaguers. In college baseball, those coaches could give a damn about that. Those coaches aren't going to care about developing a pitcher so that they can impact a major league team. No, they're going to throw those kids 130 innings every spring because they're trying to win or keep their jobs. This is a roundly terrible proposal. Truly, truly awful. And I know that this is part of the negotiating process, is you put proposals out there that are not palatable so that later on you sneak stuff in that's a little bit more palatable, still sucks, but a little bit more palatable and a little bit more palatable. And then hopefully, which we all want as fans of the sport of baseball, we all want there to be an agreement. We don't want to miss any baseball games, right? Whether we think a lockout is imminent or not. And I'm more optimistic than a lot of you because I think there's too much to lose for the owners because of when the TV deals expire for Major League Baseball. That's a big part of this. But we all want there to be baseball in 2028, 2027, and 2028 and beyond. We all want there to be baseball. We all want there to be labor peace. But this proposal really sucks. And the players union was right to throw it back in MLB's face. Give me another headline. Speaking of big money for one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL, Spencer.
Yes, the Titans and defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons have come to an agreement on a 3-year contract extension. His agents have told ESPN's Adam Schefter and NFL media, the NFL, Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo, the teammates, all three of them working to report this. The deal is worth up to $105.8 million with $100 million guaranteed. So his deal is 105.8 with literally 90+% of that guaranteed at $100 million.
Is he the best interior defensive lineman in football? I think you could argue that he is.
Yeah.
11 sacks last year. He led all interior defensive linemen in solo tackles, tackles for a loss, sacks, sack yards, quarterback pressures, pressure rate, and forced fumbles. All that added up to a first-team All-Pro selection and a 4th trip to the Pro Bowl. 3-time All-Pro. Awesome, awesome player. And, of course, nobody knows about him because when was the last time you watched a Titans game on purpose?
Yep.
When they weren't playing your favorite team. When was the last time you said, I want to watch the Tennessee Titans?
Never.
No, that doesn't happen. But that dude is awesome. And that is a well-deserved contract for him. Let's get into a U.S. Open update, shall we? Because it's been a really good tournament so far for folks with ties to the state of Kansas.
Yeah, it has.
Wyndham Clark is your leader in round 2 at Shinnecock Hills in Southampton, New York, after he went out and shot a 64 on Thursday. The 2023 U.S. Open champ followed that with a 169 today, setting a 36-hole record for U.S. Opens played at Shinnecock. And there have been more than a few, so that's not nothing. 7 under for the blow pig, Wyndham Clark. You know what they call him that? Have I explained that to you?
No.
They call him the blow pig because so you try to do the emoji with Windham, you like the little wind emoji and the big emoji. So somebody took that and said, oh, the blow pig. So he's the blow pig, Wyndham Clark. Also, Denver area. Shout out. Stand up. Wyndham Clark is your leader currently by 4 shots over a 3-player group that includes 2-time major champion Xander Schauffele, 2021 U.S. Open champion 2022 U.S. Open champion Matt Fitzpatrick, and Wichita's own Sam Stevens, the Cape and Mount Carmel product, has shot 68-69. He's 3 under par, 4 shots back of the lead. Only 2 players sit at 2 under par. They're both still on the course as day 2 winds down. They were delayed in starting the tournament, so they were suspended after yesterday's play. So they're going to be a little late finishing up round 2 today. They might even have to suspend play today. But Sam Burns and Tom Kim both at 2 under par. Colin Morikawa, Colin. Yeah, Colin's at 2 under par. 2-time major champion himself. He shot a 65 today. He and Joaquin Neiman tied for the low round today with a 65. Group at 1 under par includes Justin Thomas, a 2-time major champion, and Harry Higgs, the Blue Valley North product, who is playing in just the 5th major tournament of his career. The big rig is 1 under. He's only played in 5 majors, but he's finished top 15 twice. He was tied for 4th at the PGA in 2021. So maybe Harry Higgs is a big game player. Who's to say? But he shot a 68 today. He's 1 under for the tournament, 6 shots back. Maverick McNeely and former British Open champion Brian Harman still at 1 under par. Yes, that means there are 11 golfers currently under par. Big group at even par includes the professional sports franchise of Topeka, Kansas, Gary Woodland. Gary had a really strong first round, got it as low as 4 under before finishing with a 3 under 67. Didn't have as good a day yesterday, but pulled it back into the road, finished strong, and got in with a 73, 3 over. So that puts him at even par for the tournament, 7 shots back. Also at even par in the clubhouse, a bunch of guys you've never heard of. Akshay Bhatia, maybe the most notable name in that group. My guy, William Mao, which is what my son calls cats, Mau. He's in at even par. Amateur Ryder Cowan is even par for the tournament. Still on the course and at even par, Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood, Keegan Bradley, Ludwig Oberg, Matt Fitzpatrick's brother Alex, Max Grazerman, and Ben James. So right now, with play continuing at the U.S. Open, the 100 and how many tournaments did they play? They played a lot of these. However many U.S. Opens it's been. I thought there was a number there. There wasn't. But only 23 players are par or better so far. Now, in fact, it's 22 players that are par or better because Tommy Fleetwood just bogeyed 15. Group at 1 under par includes PGA champion Aaron Rye, Justin Rose, Corey Connors. I mentioned Fleetwood. Scotty Scheffler is 1 under today through 12 holes, 1 over for the tournament. Right now finds himself 8 shots back. The cut line right now is at +3. Who's that going to leave out? Among others, former Masters champion Hideki Matsuyama, Victor Hovland, Bryson DeChambeau.
Shocker, he's ready to more YouTube videos this weekend.
Yeah, you'll have plenty of time to go break 50 with somebody if you want, Bryson. Shot a 75 today. He had even par through the first day. Shot a 75 today. That's 5 over par. He was 5 over for the tournament. That's going to send him home. Cameron Smith is going to miss the cut. He's 5 over right now. John Rahm shot a 78 today. He's going to miss the cut. He was 2 under through the first round. Shot a 8 over 78 today. John Rahm is going to trunk it and miss the weekend. Siwoo Kim is going to miss the cut. Brooks Koepka is going to miss the cut. Adam Scott, last year's U.S. Open champion J.J. Spawn, is going to miss out as well. And the rest of the U.S. Open continues Saturday and, of course, the champion crowned on Father's Day.
Like Jason Day had to withdraw.
Yeah, I didn't see why, but I don't think he played a shot. I think he just withdrew right off.
Looks like he played 1 hole.
Did he play 1?
He hard hole.
He's had some injury issues over the course of his career. All right, time now for the what is that? Time now. Try that again for the World Cup Roundup. Sponsored by your name here.
Open wide for some soccer!
Team USA 2, Australia 0 earlier today in Seattle. Team USA scoring both of their goals in the first half, an own goal in the 11th minute. Alex Freeman heading in a deflection in the 43rd minute to make it 2-0 Second half was a little bit more even on the run of play, but Team USA does something they have not done since the first World Cup in 1930 and win their first 2 matches of the tournament. It confirms advancement into the knockout stages. They will be closely watching the late match tonight at 10 p.m. between Turkey and Paraguay. If Paraguay gets a result, if they win or draw, then Team USA wins the group and can really take it easy in their final group stage game, which again is against Turkey. Currently in action in the 33rd minute, Morocco leads Scotland 1-0. They scored in the 2nd minute of action, did Morocco. At 7:30 tonight, Brazil against Haiti in what will surely be a Godzilla versus Bambi type of situation. Earlier in the tournament yesterday, we saw the first team through to the knockout rounds. That's Mexico. They beat South Korea 1-0. South Korea's goalie made a huge mistake. Just put the ball right in the path of a Mexico player in a scramble in the box to poke home for the game's only goal. Mexico winning 1-0. South Africa drew Czechia in the other Group A match 1-1. In Group B, Canada blew out Qatar 6-0. Switzerland handled Bosnia and Herzegovina 4-1. Those 2 teams in the driver's seat to advance out of Group B. That is your World Cup roundup. I am remiss if I do not note World Cup action returns to Kansas City Stadium tomorrow night with Ecuador taking on Curacao. We'll take a timeout, come back. An early look at some over-unders for Big 12 football next on 580 Sports Talk.
Institute and the Ad Council. Oh, it's too hot in here.
I'll adjust the thermostat. Dang it, I'm freezing.
I'll adjust the thermostat.
No matter what the weather is outside, it's hard to be comfortable inside with that old, inaccurate, inefficient, conventional heating and cooling system. And you've never been comfortable with the bills either. There's a better way. Get cost-effective comfort from Ground Source in Holton. A water-furnished geothermal system from Ground Source can save you about half, even up to 75% on your monthly bills. And the consistency of the temperature in your home will give you year-round comfort in all kinds of weather. Use the Earth's natural energy to make your home impervious to the world outside. The entire water-furnished system usually pays for itself in about 5 to 7 years. Talk to Ground Source, the geothermal professionals in Kansas. Call them at their Holton office and get comfortable with significant savings.
Ground Source, water furnace, smarter from the ground up.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic. Safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
WIBW, Topeka.
.536 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer with you on this Friday. Weather's taking a bit of a turn outside. Looks like it might be raining in the area. Nothing severe in our sphere of broadcast influence at the moment, but rest assured, if anything pops up, we'll have it covered for you here on 580 WIBW. Looks like tomorrow night's the night for more of a severe threat.
Yeah, not as much tonight. It was dark. I was walking out the end of the hour, and I was like, "Is it gonna rain?" And just dark.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that because I forgot to water my front yard flowers today. I got the back done, but didn't get the front done. It's very important to me to. Among the many things that I didn't realize would become important to me as an adult, I care a great deal about tending my flowers. I care very much about having a nice dash of color outside my front door and in my backyard for people to enjoy.
The real question is, do you care as much about the flowers as you do about your yard?
Probably more. So here's the thing about my yard. We've got 3 big trees in our yard. 2 of them drop acorns. And when you drop acorns, you know what you got a lot of in your yard? Squirrels.
Yep.
You know what squirrels do? Tear up the grass.
Yeah.
Make it really, really hard to grow grass back. Like we made an effort, my wife and I, like, let's see if we can't like fill out some of these front yard patches. No chance. Squirrels just dig it up, eat it up, no chance. So I'm not like sad that I don't have this like massive yard. Like we had the biggest yard on the block when I was a kid, and that was a lot to mow when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. So I'm not disappointed I don't have to do that much mowing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I watch those squirrels digging up my yard and burying their acorns for the winter, and I think, you sons of... As long as they stay out of my flower bed, which they don't.
Yeah.
Again, things I didn't think I would care about at all in my life. And things change. Your priorities change. When you become a homeowner, when you get married, you have kids, the whole thing. Anyhow, BetMGM, the gambling house, for lack of a better term, they've got their over-under win totals for the Big 12 Conference for 2026. And I mentioned we were going to talk about this earlier. I think it was Mark B. Pretty sure it was Mark B., one of our regulars in the YouTube chat, who said, let me guess, K-State's at 6.5 wins. And honestly, Mark, I would have thought so. K-State's over under 8.5. And I think there's 2 things at play there for Kansas State. And that level of optimism from at least one one sports book. 2 things at play here. Number 1, that is belief in Avery Johnson.
Yeah.
That is belief in a veteran quarterback, in an offensive system that should be more in tune to his strengths and bring out the best in him. Here's a very real chance. We have not seen Avery Johnson's best football yet. If we get the Avery Johnson that was promised, and I don't even necessarily think I want to go that far, because, like, remember 2 years ago, there were people that thought Avery Johnson was going to win the Heisman Trophy. Remember that? Remember he had a little bit of Heisman Trophy hype, little sleeper hype for the Heisman Trophy going into 2024. You're not going to get that this year. It's a little bit post-hype, I think, from a national perspective for Avery Johnson. But again, young energy in this program, a coach who should be much more able to identify and enhance and encourage Avery Johnson's strengths as a player. If Avery Johnson's really good, it's hard to imagine that Kansas State isn't really good. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that Kansas State's schedule, in case you've forgotten, is really favorable. Kansas State this year in the conference, they play Cincinnati on the road, Houston at home, Kansas at home, Arizona State on the road, Colorado on the road, Oklahoma State at home, TCU on the road, Arizona at home, and Iowa State on the road. You know who that means they don't play? Texas Tech, Utah, and BYU. Would you like to guess which 3 teams have the same or better preseason over-under win totals as Kansas State?
Those
Texas
teams.
Tech, Utah, and BYU. So Kansas State is avoiding the 3 best teams in the country. They're not avoiding them. They just don't have to play them. It's not like...
It's not the schedule matrix.
Yeah. It's not like, we don't want to play those guys. Everybody in the league would pass on playing those guys if they could.
They got lucky based upon the schedule makers.
Yes, they got a favorable draw there. Houston, according to these the over-unders, Houston and Arizona are the best teams that Kansas State plays in the conference, and they play them both at home. TCU and Arizona State are, according to the preseason over-under win totals, the toughest road games for Kansas State. And again, your non-conference schedule is Nicholls, Wazoo, and Tulane all at home. I think the books see 3 wins there, which means 6-3 in conference play when you don't have to play the 3 best teams in the conference. Is that attainable for Kansas State? It certainly feels like it ought to be.
Yeah.
If Avery Johnson, again, is the guy we think he can be with Colin Klein calling the shots. So That's where that comes from. That's where this optimism for Kansas State comes from. And I can understand, like, coming off of last year where there was even more optimism and they went 6-6. Like, I understand being a little bit more cautious to throw all in on K-State, but that's where it comes from. I think the Vegas optimism on the Cats. I mentioned Tech, Utah, BYU. Tech's win total is 11.5. And remember, this isn't just the regular season. This presumes maybe that Texas Tech were to win a conference championship game, potentially win a playoff game. I think they can still do that. Win a conference. I don't know about win a playoff game, but I think they win a conference even without Brendan Sorsby. Utah and BYU both at 8.5. Then Houston and Arizona over-unders 7.5. Really like that over for Houston, if we're being honest. I just think I think the world of Willie Fritz at the end of the day. TCU, Arizona State, Baylor, 6.5 over-under. Looking at that, I kind of like overs for both TCU and Arizona State. Just like TCU outperformed expectations last year. Why wouldn't they do it again? And Arizona State, I'm in on Kenny Dillingham. Yeah. Like I think very highly of him. Over-unders at 5.5. Most of the rest of the league. West Virginia, Oklahoma State, UCF, Kansas, Iowa State, and Cincinnati. I'm slamming the under on Iowa State. I don't know what that program is. Like, Iowa State and Oklahoma State had the most upheaval. Iowa State's bringing in a kind of a piece together roster. Oklahoma State's importing North Texas.
Yep. Can they? How will they fare at the next level?
I think that might be like the most variance of any team in the conference. But I'm kind of thinking they're going to be good. Like, I know that's been a terrible program the last 2 years, but I don't think you can say anything about this team is applicable to what it was the last 2 years under Gundy. I think they might end up being pretty good. As for Kansas at 5.5, honestly, that feels right for me. Like, that feels like exactly what their over-under should be. Because I think that making a bowl would be a very good season for them.
Yeah.
So I think that number's right where it ought to be. Colorado, by the way, bringing up the rear at 4.5.
I think too. They also have for KU. They have the Union Jack Classic in the middle. Like, they have
going overseas. Yeah.
Then they got to go overseas. Then they got to come back. They do get a week off after that, but still, I mean, we saw it messed up, it derailed K-State season.
It did
to start last year, so you never know.
That's where I worry about TCU, right? They play North Carolina in Dublin. If TCU loses, like the team that has lost in Dublin the last couple of years, remember what Florida State did 2 years ago? Like, it is not good to lose that Dublin game. So TCU loses that Dublin game, it could get ugly for them. If they win it, I mean, look out. We'll take a timeout, come back. We'll wrap up with a little Royals baseball here on 580 Sports Talk.
Stay connected to 580 WIBW by texting the station at 785-272-9429. Check out local events, discover our sister stations, and follow along on social media, all for the palm of your hands. Download the MSC Radio app on the App Store or Google Play and keep your community connection strong wherever you go. 580 WIBW and MSC Radio Network station.
Dad, I know we give you a hard time. Your shark tank ideas, your unique sense of style, and stretching in the most random places. But the truth is, if you hadn't taken that leap all those years ago, building U.S. Automotive Group, our lives wouldn't be what they are today. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. So thank you for building those businesses, for teaching us what hard work looks like and how to take care of people the right way. And to all the dads chasing big dreams for their families, we thank you too. Happy Father's Day from U.S. Automotive Group.
My name is Ariel. When I arrived in the U.S. at 19, I struggled to find job opportunities without my high school diploma. My entire life changed when I took a chance and got my high school diploma at age 22. Everything I have, my education, my career, my marriage, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and my teachers. They were with me every step of the way, helping with my English and math, making sure I push through all the challenges.
Ariel, your success proves that what I'm doing as a teacher has real meaning.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
Education was the key that unlock all my opportunities.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
WIBW, Topeka.
.548 on 580 Sports Talk. Coming down the home stretch on this Friday edition of the program. Royals baseball tonight. Game 2 of their 3-game series against the Cardinals. Royals put the beats on the Redbirds last night, 14-6. All but 2 players had 2 or more hits among the Royal starters last night. Michael Massey and Jack Caglione were the stragglers, and Cags hit a home run for his 1 hit. So, you want to count that double, I would understand.
Back-to-back days of looking good on offense.
Yeah, that's kind of nice to see, right? They put up the 6 there on the Nationals on getaway day, and then 14 yesterday. They'll see if they can continue that offensive momentum, though that won't be easy without Bobby Witt Jr. in the lineup. He's sitting tonight, in case you missed it in headlines. A grade 1 MCL sprain has been diagnosed for Bobby Witt Jr. It's not an immediate IL stint, though that remains a possibility. They're going to keep him out of tonight's game, reevaluate him after the off day on Saturday. The lineup to face Mike McGreevy tonight, the right-handed starter for the Cardinals. Well, this is the worst lineup the Royals have fielded this season. Carter Jensen is leading off and doing the catching, followed by Lane Thomas in center field, Jack Caglione at first, Salvador Perez DHing back to the cleanup spot after he homered last night. Michael Massey batting 5th at second base, then Nick Lofton at third. John Rave is the right fielder, batting 7th. Isaac Collins in left field, batting 8th. Tyler Tolbert is the shortstop, 4 for 19 on the year. Tyler Tolbert, he bats 9th. Seth Lugo returns from the 7-day concussion IL to make the start for the Royals on the mound. He'll face this St. Louis lineup. J.J. Weatherholt at second base, Ivan Herrera doing the catching, and Alec Burleson at first base. Jordan Walker's a cleanup hitter in right field. Lars Nootbaar is in left. Mason Wynn is at short. Jimmy Crooks, improbable baseball name. Great baseball name. Sounds like a 1930s Chicago White Sox. Jimmy Crooks. You could drop that name in any era of baseball. He's the DH. Blaze Jordan. You could not drop that name in any era of baseball. That is an extremely 2026 Major League Baseball player name. Blaze Jordan is the third baseman. Nathan Church is the center fielder tonight.
This Royals lineup looks like an Omaha lineup with Salvador Perez rehabbing.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. Though I'll say this. Like, Lane Thomas and Nick Lofton both have been above average offensive contributors for the Royals this year. Like, it's hard not to think, like, if the Royals had reserves as good as those guys the last year, that might have been enough to get into the playoffs. And if they'd had reserves that good in, like, 2024, that might have been enough to win them the division. Like, we talked about, and Thomas specifically, we said, like, this is a floor-raising player, not a ceiling-raising player. And, like, he's come in, he's gotten on base. There's been a little bit of pop lately. He's hit lefties. He's played the outfield, all 3 positions of the outfield. Not well, but, like, credibly, like, not embarrassingly. If only the Royals had a 4th outfielder that good last year. Just think about if they'd had him instead of, like, 2 months of Hunter Renfroe. Right.
What is Hunter Renfroe doing these days?
I hope if he's got kids, I bet they're enjoying having daddy home. I think I don't think he formally retired.
Hey, he's a free agent.
But I think the game retired him.
I think that kind of says a lot about last year's Royals team.
Yeah. I think the game retired Hunter Renfroe more than Hunter Renfroe chose to retire. Again, no Royals baseball tomorrow because of the World Cup game at Kansas City Stadium. And so the 3-game series between the Royals and the Cardinals will conclude on Sunday afternoon. Be a 1:10 first pitch. I've got tickets for that game burning a hole in my pocket. If somebody's been hanging out this long, maybe I'll give those tickets away before we're done here today. Be listening. I'll give you a cue to call. Be listening for your chance to win Royals tickets. Consider a reward for hanging out with us this late on a Friday afternoon. That's coming up on Sunday, the series finale. Tonight's game, 6:30 pregame, 7:15 first pitch. You can watch it on Apple TV Plus, or you can listen right here, 580 WIBW FM 104.9. One final break. We'll come back with a final word to wrap up 580 Sports Talk. Let's wrap up this edition of 580 Sports Talk with a final word. Spencer Dupuy, what you got?
Final word for me, 87 days until the Chiefs kick off the season, Monday Night Football, and 87 for the great tight end Travis Kelce. And I think a lot of people think this is his last year. I think married life is going to take him to do something else after this season. And if you're a Chiefs fan, just bask in what he's been able to do over his career. And hey, maybe he won't have that great of a season this year, but if he can help them get back to the Super Bowl again, he's for sure going out on top.
Final word for me today. It's a wonderful weekend we have ahead with lots of great sports on tap, including the final round of the U.S. Open on Sunday, my favorite golf tournament. It's also Father's Day on Sunday, so I want to take this opportunity to wish Happy Father's Day to my own dad, my father-in-law. Any fathers who are hearing this, hope you have an outstanding Father's Day. Enjoy your day. Enjoy however you choose to celebrate or be celebrated. I'm sharing the day on Sunday because Sunday is also my wife's birthday. She is turning years old, and I am thrilled to share Father's Day with the woman I love. Happy birthday, Abby. I am thrilled.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, so very excited to celebrate my wife's birthday and celebrate Father's Day and hang out with my kid. Have a real nice weekend ahead. Lots of great sports on tap. College World Series, U.S. Open, World Cup, Major League Baseball. I'm sure there's some racing for you gearheads out there.
They're racing on a military base in San Diego.
That's right.
Coronado, I think it is.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make mine SVG. It's a road course, right? Make
SVG. Put some money on him. You're going to win.
Make mine SVG. We love our gearheads. We love we know we've got a big contingent of NASCAR fans listening to the show. We hope you enjoy the racing this weekend. Whatever you got, just enjoy it. Have a great time. And we'll come back from 3 to 5. We'll be off early for Royals baseball next Monday. here on 580 Sports Talk. 785-272-9429 is our phone number. 785-272-9429. If you're the third caller right now, I got a pair of tickets for Sunday's Royals game for you. As a thank you for hanging out with us. For Spencer, I'm Dan. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.